Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, along with G. Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd. I'm Adam the Bull. We got a lot to get to today. Later, Evan Mobley has the game of his career so far, and Shane Bieber is back. But obviously, a lot to talk about with the Browns. We've got Mike, Anthony, Earl's upstairs. We got Steve. Guys, how we doing? Everybody in a good mood today? Bad mood? What's up?
Oh, the weather's shitty.
It is. That's true.
Sorry to start the show with this curse word there.
No, that's all right.
But it's so nasty out there.
It's December in Berea.
I mean, it's time of year. We can't really. I mean, it's actually.
No one's fired yet, though.
You know what? It's actually kind of warm, though.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I'll take it.
For December. So
Hey, I'm here.
I was out in shorts yesterday.
Truly best. God is
Go
good.
ahead.
I'm
Go
all
ahead,
good,
G.
man.
You good, man?
I'm good, man.
Well, go ahead. You want to tell the story or no? Or do you not want to get into it?
Well, he put you on the spot. So.
Yeah, sorry. You don't have to.
No, listen. So people know there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the Philippines. My wife is from the Philippines, so they had like 8 or 9 typhoons in a row. So my wife and a lot of different people in the Philippines, they get displaced all the time. So there's a lot of different things that happen. There were some people that were missing, but they luckily they found them. So the great thing about it is it gives you a different perspective because, for a while it was touch and go. You're like, man, I haven't heard from so-and-so in a while. I haven't heard from this person. And usually what happens is, you lose everything and people kind of rebuild and it gives you that perspective of, holiday seasons, it could always be worse. It could be 1,000 times worse. So it's only material things. But the one thing I can always admire about the people of the Philippines is they're just always nice. They always have this great demeanor. They're always thankful for what they do have. And so, they'll have to rebuild a lot of their different infrastructure or whatever. And to them, it's like this happens every week. So I just couldn't imagine building my house and then losing it like every year. Like it's crazy. So, but yeah, I'm just glad everybody is cool. Everybody's safe in her family. So, it was a pretty good weekend.
Well, I don't know where to go from there, to be honest with you.
Well, you made him say it, so figure it out.
I know. I'm
Mr. Awkward over there.
No. I felt bad that maybe I put you on the spot.
No.
But we're glad. Obviously, we're glad everybody is okay.
Yeah.
And we get to much lighter and less important things like football and basketball and all that kind of stuff. Mike, before we get to the Browns,
Mikey, anybody die in your family?
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Anything sad happen?
Pretty
Go
normal
ahead.
weekend. So
You want to do a read before we do our shotgun reaction?
let's get right into it. We're gonna talk plenty of Cavs, plenty of Guardians throughout the show, but we will start as always on Monday with some Browns and a quick reminder that FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, and you can get in and tackle all the NFL action with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right, Jason Lloyd making almost as much as Juan Soto these days. Your first reaction?
That far off.
So the first reaction to the Browns losing yet again.
I think what troubled me the most, I mentioned to you guys, I wrote about it also, apathy has set in. Like, they're not even mad. They weren't even mad in the locker room yesterday. I'm sure maybe I'm not going to speak for all 48 guys, but from, when you're in the locker room after the game, you can get a vibe of what's going on. And guys are just like, yeah, 3-10.
They're ready for the season to
Lost
be
the
over.
Steelers
For
again.
sure.
Yeah, they're just crawling to the finish at this point. That was troubling to me to see that no one is really even that upset. And you can't throw helmets and you can't punch walls after every loss. Like, you can't. But, man, guys, we got a month to go. We still got 4 more games to go. And this is just walking through the cemetery at night. It's in a bad spot. And the other thing I would say coming off of it, and I know we'll probably get into it more throughout the week, goes, It's time to play Dorian Thompson-Robinson as far as I'm concerned. I wrote that for today as well. Like, Jameis is what he is. I've said that for the last month. They knew what he was. And I actually feel like you've lost time on DTR by continuing to play Jameis. And I get why you had to. You had to do it because DTR was hurt. Jameis played well. You won the Ravens game, and now you had to keep going. I get it. But you got a month left. I would throw him in against the Chiefs. Just throw him right in. Yeah, the Chiefs are going to blitz the crap out of him. He's 25 years old. This isn't a rookie. He's a man. He's 25 years old. See how he handles it. And let him play out the last month and see what you have.
All right, more on that later when we get to Jameis. Dustin, quick reaction.
Quick reaction, kind of like what Jason said. It didn't seem as though the players were, I don't want to say like worried, concerned, into it. Like it didn't seem like the game mattered watching it. And when you watch the first like quarter and a half or so, whatever, when they had the lead, it was like, oh, they're going to win this game until the screen. And then things just sort of spiraled out of control. You know, just lapses defensively, lapses on off, lapses everywhere. Special teams. I mean, just all across the board. Just a lack of attention to detail in a game that ultimately a team that's got better culture, better leaders, better players, all of the above. They masterclassed you. They outclassed you. Whatever you want to call it. Like they were better in every way. And at the end of the day, the cream rose to the top.
G. Bush.
This reminded me of like 2012, 13, 14.
Be more specific. They all run together.
All of them.
Yeah, right.
Like, all them years where you turned the Browns versus Steelers on, you knew the Browns was losing. Didn't even have to watch the game. Like, you know, when you get the interception off the screen pass, this is how you know you got a bad team. When one play in the beginning of the game costs you the rest of the game, it's like, guys, come on. Like I get it. After that play, it was just done. You know, they don't have the talent. I think we grossly overestimated the level of talent they had. I think they are checked out a little bit. I think that this is going to be a long haul. We might have to actually start reevaluating something. Before, we've been acting like this is like a little fix. We get a guy here, maybe get a quarterback, maybe get this guy, and we can get back on the train a little bit. But for me, right now, you might have to really reconsider if this don't take a complete teardown. I just don't, you know, there's a lot of question marks. I just don't see the talent level at a lot of positions. They're still having these random, stupid mistakes and jumping on. It's little kid football, man. Mm-hmm. It's like stuff that Dustin, you would tell your son, hey, you can't do that to win games, and then it happens, and you say, I told you couldn't do that to win games, and it happens to the Browns, and we've been doing this 4, 5, 6, 25, 30 years, man. That's just my thoughts.
It's when you look at the entire organization right now, there's not much to hang your hat on. Everything's going wrong. Everybody should be questioned. It felt like, you know, with Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, the start they got off to and the success they had in their first year with COVID and nobody in the stands, that maybe they finally got it right. And I still think Kevin Stefanski's a good coach. But there's blame to go all around. The roster's not good enough. The players are not coached enough. The players don't play hard enough. They are yes, undisciplined. They care more, it seems, about celebrating than they do about winning. I mean, they're doing dances on every defensive play when they're down by 14 points. Special teams is a disgrace. Tony Romo's a disgrace. I know he's not a Brown, but he's a terrible announcer. Why that guy gets paid what he does? I mean,
where did that come from?
Because he sucks. He's awful. He's completely unprepared for the game. Dustin knows it. He probably won't say it, but he knows it. Every broadcaster knows that Tony Romo is not prepared for these games because he sounds like an idiot and says things that make no sense on every game. All right. First of all, you can't say the Brown. Hey, Bubba. Bubba's a good special teams. He don't even know his last name. He's just calling him Bubba. And whatever. I'm sidebarring. The point is, the Browns are so far away. The Browns are far away. Yeah, they have a couple of key pieces that are really good, but who do you trust right now in this organization? There's no quarterback you trust. The coach, my trust is shaky with him. I don't trust the GM. I don't trust the owner. So what can I hang my hat on? Not much.
This shocked me.
Yeah.
And you guys both sort of touched on it.
Yeah.
They lead the league in pre-snap penalties for the second year in a row. And every year under Kevin except one, they've been in the top 3 in pre-snap penalties. That blew my, and I didn't realize, because they won last year. I never even looked it up.
Right.
And I was looking it up yesterday. I was just thumbing through stats. It's like, oh my God, they led the league. And like, you guys who played, explain if that's a big deal or not, because I can show you teams, really good teams, that are near the top in pre-snap penalties, and I can show you teams that are dreadful that are near the top, because they always drove me crazy. Like, you know, you're going to get beat on as a lineman. You're going to get beat on the edge, and you got to pull the guy down, or he's going to kill your quarterback. Or you're a corner, and are you going to give up 6, or are you going to pull him? Like, that's going to happen. But when you're jumping off sides, when you can't get lined up right, when you're jumping in the neutral zone, that stuff drives me insane. But is it really a big deal or not?
It's a big deal. Is it a big deal? Yes, it's a big deal. Some teams, you say, well, there's good teams in there that are near the top too. Well, yeah, the thing with those teams, they can get away with it. You know, they're just like anything in life. You know, when you're gifted at something, like you're super talented, you're a great team. Like the Chiefs can probably get away with more pre-snap penalties than the Browns.
Yep.
Okay, the Browns don't have room for error. Yeah. Okay, this is not Alabama or whatever. Like, you know, playing Eastern Michigan. Well, Eastern Michigan can't have any false starts against Alabama. Okay, maybe not a great comparison, but you get the point. I think when you're a great team, you can have a little more room for error. But like the elite teams that are great.
Second and 15 is not a big deal to them.
No.
But even then, I would be curious to know, like Tom Brady's in Belichick years when they were winning all the time, like where were they at? Because those teams seem to be pretty disciplined. Maybe some of the most disciplined teams we've seen.
Let me give you this just
Go
to
ahead.
back this up.
Yeah.
So the top, here's the 6, 7, 8, 9. The top 12 teams, or I'll give you 9 because there's a tie for 10th. So the top 9 teams in terms of pre-snap penalties, you have 3 good teams. You have Houston, Pittsburgh, and Green Bay are in the top 9. The other 6 teams are all terrible. Cleveland, Chicago, Tennessee, Giants, Miami's not terrible, they're okay, and the Jets. So it is a mixed bag. But here's the thing. The Browns have 53 pre-snap penalties. The Bears are second worst with 43. So that's 10 more than the second worst team. To put that in perspective, the Bears are second
with 43.
43. And then, like, except for a few teams on the bottom, like most of the other teams in the league have, 30 or more. Somewhere between like 30 and
so basically, the Browns have like 20 plus more pre-snap penalties than everybody.
More than every other team.
I crushed Freddie when he was here because they were so undisciplined. And so we have to say the same thing about Kevin. And I think Kevin's a really good coach. I've always said that. Not having a good year, I think he's a good coach. But this is an undisciplined football team in every way.
I think it's a microcosm. So, like, as a football player, every time that you do something, the way our military coaches used to break it down was you got a decision to make. When we do line drills and when we're conditioning or we're doing perfect push-ups, are you going to do it the right way, right? If we say your socks got to be 3 millimeters above, the reason we necessarily don't care about the measurements of your uniform, we trying to get some discipline, because when it gets difficult, the discipline factor is, all right, you tired? You going to go to class? All right, well, listen, we taught you the technique. We told you you're going to have to play this way in order to beat these schools. You're not good enough to do it your way. So lean on your technique. So when you get in the game and all of a sudden you want to switch stuff up, then that leads you to getting beat. And so the pre-snap penalties is just a discipline factor of, all right, I know what my assignment is. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. But are you going to be mentally tough enough to handle that? And then who's holding you accountable? If the coach is not holding you accountable, and I hate going to this, but, I don't like the Steelers. I get mad when I talk about the Steelers. But I also got to say, if the Browns would get their stuff together, they wouldn't have to hear comparisons about people in the division.
21 straight losses in Pittsburgh. Another year since '89 without more than a 2-game winning streak. Another year since '88 without being swept. And one last thing when it comes to Kevin Stefanski. We'll see what happens at the end of the year before we switch gears here. I think on the broadcast, something that Jim Nance said just basically sums up what I feel about Coach of the Year. Whenever anybody, and again, I've defended Kevin Stefanski. I still do. I still probably would not fire him. But whenever anybody says Defense Stefanski, pretty much the only thing that's brought up is the fact that he's won 2 Coach of the Years. And all you need to know about the Coach of the Year is that Mike Tomlin's never won one.
That's crazy.
So Mike Tomlin is a million times better coach than Kevin Stefanski.
Crazy.
There's not a person on the planet. Is there anybody on the planet
How's
that would
he
argue?
never won one?
Because the award is not about who the best coach is. It's who's the coach of the team that won more than you expected.
He gets
That's all it is.
penalized. He gets penalized for the excellence of the
That's a
Steelers.
fact.
Right.
Who didn't you think was good that had a good season?
And
I'll tell you what, he should win it this year. They're 10-3. He should win it this year.
Dan Campbell's the betting favorite.
Yeah,
right now.
Dan
Did
Campbell.
Tomlin
Campbell
should
win
win it
last
this
year?
year.
No,
Tomlin should win it
Stefanski
this year.
won it.
I'm going to tell you why he should win it. Russell Wilson was looked at as the same type albatross as Deshaun Watson.
On the field, yes. Without
field.
the off-field baggage,
On the
yes.
field, the league, we laughed and talked about how why does no one like Russell Wilson? Not only did he go get him, and not only did he have him on the roster, he played him when nobody thought they should play him.
That's true, because Justin Fields was doing okay.
They were winning and
Yeah, they were
playing
winning.
okay.
And
Yeah.
he made the move. Come on, that's how.
Who else is in consideration right now besides
The
Dan?
the top 3 in the odds are Dan Campbell minus 140,
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell of the Vikings plus 340, and then
Yeah.
Tomlin's third plus 650.
I
the
would
Vikings
vote
got it
Tomlin. I'd vote Tomlin.
I mean,
Vikings has got a crazy story.
the Vikings thing is pretty
That's
crazy,
kinda
too.
crazy. What are they,
They're in a
11-2?
good division. Sam Darnold was written off, totally. The guy got through 5 touchdowns yesterday.
He's him now. All of a sudden,
And by the way, for those who people are asking, well, maybe the Browns should sign Sam Darnold. They can't afford him. He's going. Forget this nonsense of $15 million for Jameis. Sam Darnold's
15, double it.
Darnold's going to get $25-30 million a year, and the Browns can't pay that because they're in terrible cap space.
I don't know if
gotta
he'll
tell
get
you
that
though-
much, but he is going to get paid.
Oh, I think he could pay more than $15 million.
Yes.
To your point about
Yeah.
the league this year, like
Yeah.
I kind of low-key love this. No team's great. Do you know right now, can you say, like, hey, they're going to win the Super Bowl?
No.
I have no idea.
I mean, the Lions have the best record, but they don't feel unbeatable at all.
Yeah, and you
Their
trust the Lions in the
defense
playoffs?
decimated.
No, that
I'd still take the Chiefs.
Right,
still
right,
trust the
but they're not a great team.
they
they
look like the least impressive.
But
The Browns could easily beat the Chiefs this week.
We are not going to do this.
Oh, no, they
We
could
learned-
definitely win.
We learned last year.
100%.
Don't you do that.
I'm not writing them off. I'm just saying.
Don't you do that.
Yes, the Chiefs are still my favorite in the AFC,
Yeah.
but they don't look impressive.
No.
Go ahead, Mike.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's dive into our next Browns topic after a quick word from Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike on other apps with Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game when you want.
Worse yesterday, guys. The defense or the offense? Who do you blame more for the loss? Which unit? Dustin Fox, start us off.
Special teams.
Thank you.
Oh,
That
you
was
blame
my
the
answer.
special- Okay, fair. Special teams you blaming the most?
Yeah, I mean, Dustin Hopkins should be cut,
Yes.
period.
Yeah.
Shouldn't. If he didn't get that contract, like, he's not here, right?
Oh, yeah,
Correct.
100%.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so what are we doing?
Losing football games.
It's embarrassing, though, man. Like, and I feel bad. I always feel bad for kickers, even though I shouldn't. Cause,
Yeah,
like,
you should.
Like, dude's got the bag. But,
Yeah.
But man, like, these are easy kicks that he's got the yips, clearly.
Yep.
Yep.
And he's not going to be the same. So you move on from that kicker and you find somebody else. And that's
Right.
what the Browns have to do. The Toney, they get the ball back with an opportunity there.
He should have been cut 2 hours ago.
I said on my podcast last night I would have made him walk home from Pittsburgh.
Kadarius Toney should have been released.
Oh,
by
my
now.
God.
What value does he add to the Browns?
Zero.
That's a stupid penalty.
He is.
Even more than the muff.
He's going to give you a 2-yard jet sweep a game and a muff punt.
Yeah.
He is. Have you guys seen The Replacements with Keanu Reeves?
Of course.
Right. By the way, rewatched that yesterday so Aaron could watch it for the first time. That movie is horrible.
Is it that bad?
Great and horrible. Like it's beyond cheesy. It's so bad, but I still love it. You know what I mean? And Keanu Reeves, I just love Keanu Reeves. I don't love Keanu Reeves, but you had what's his name? Peter Frank. Not Peter Franklin. What was his first name? Clifford Franklin, who couldn't hold on to the ball. I mean, that's Kadarius Toney. He sucks. Offense, defense, or special teams, G. Bush? Who you blame?
Man,
the
come
most?
on. Them special teams, man. Special teams, like these guys are only in some of the special teams guys are only in the league because they do that. That's it. That you are not a position player. If you didn't play kickoff gunner, you wasn't on the return team, you're not playing. Like, these guys should be taking pride in that. And, like, this is what happens. People ask, well, what's going on with Kadarius Toney? Well, when you miss on your players, then you're at the whims of who's left on rosters where you can get fringe guys. The Browns haven't had a returner. They can't even get guys to return kicks. Remember DPJ was returning kicks? He was a professional fair catcher. It was like, yeah, I'm going to just go back here and wave my arms.
Actually, Jerome, the only highlight for the special teams yesterday, Jerome Ford did not have a nice kick return.
And they did nothing with it.
And
they did nothing with it. That's correct.
They got no points.
Yeah.
And then the thing about the kicker situation is
Yeah.
they compounded the situation by having a 4th-round pick in Cade York. So they wasted a 4th-round pick for Cade York. Then they found out he wasn't any good. They had to cut him. They would have got Hopkins. He played well for a year. They gave him an extension. Now they can't even cut him because of the cap penalties. And then they brought Cade York back. Like, it's I don't know what they've been doing. I don't know what they're doing in meetings. Like, I would love to just see what they're talking about, because this is baffling to me. Like, do they think this is okay, or is anybody upset about any of this in the bill? Is anybody mad? Like, because I was sitting there and it got so embarrassing. I turned my video game on during the game because
My son did the same thing.
I
was watching the game. I'm like, he saw when the kid fumbled. My son goes to turn on the Xbox, and I said, "Well, son, I have to work tomorrow. I got to watch the end of this game."
I grabbed the sticks. I'm like, man,
he said, "Dad, this is a joke. We're going to play some Xbox."
Man, come on, bro. This is not it. Like, I was like, man, I'm good. I was like, McNuggets, send me. You always know when I done had enough. I always tell McNuggets, hey, man, send me that post-game link, dog. It'd be third quarter. He'd be like, gee, it doesn't mean you can fast forward the game. You still gonna have to wait for the 2-minute warning. But I just can't do it.
Someone sent me this bowl real quick, and I want to pull it up here.
Yeah.
Dustin Hopkins, who was elite last year.
Yeah.
33 or 36. If you go to his numbers this year versus Cade York, who got the boot after his season. Steve, take this full. Look at the side-by-side comparison of Hopkins this season versus what the Browns got rid of in Cade, and rightfully so, got rid of in Cade York after that season.
Who, by the way, will be kicking for the Bengals tonight on Monday Night Football.
Hey.
A lower field goal percentage.
Yeah.
They both missed 2 extra points with significant less volume. I mean, this has regressed to worse than where they started with this whole experiment when UCSS.
Dustin Hopkins, who's a veteran kicker, like he's in his 30s. Last year was the best year of his career.
Yep.
This year is the worst year of his career. He had been kind of mid for a kicker his whole career, and he went from mid to great to awful.
That's kickers.
That's why you don't pay kickers. That's why you don't draft kickers. That's why you don't pay kickers, with very rare exceptions.
You understand these contracts, and you talk to people in the building. What was the thought process behind signing this guy to this extension?
I have absolutely no idea.
No one else
was
going to sign this guy?
Nobody else was going to sign
him. They didn't have leverage on you.
No.
He's a kicker.
No. The only time I think you ever consider paying a kicker is if it's a guy who
Justin Tucker.
Even he's falling off the rails. The Steelers kicker right now.
Sure.
That guy, he's now the best. But unless you're consistently the best in the league, not 1 year being good, he had been mediocre his whole career. You don't pay a kicker off of 1 good year. That's nuts.
I mean, Tucker had like 8 years of being the best.
Right, at least.
The best ever.
The best ever.
Yeah.
Like, he's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Hey, Cade York's still winning. He's dating a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Did you see that?
I saw that, man.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Kicker. A crappy kicker.
Listen, if
Got
you're
a
an
Dallas
athlete,
Cowboys cheerleader.
I've said it once, I've said it a million times. When I was doing the Batavia games, those guys were A-ball players, okay? There's 100 guys that played for Batavia the 3 years I was there. 6 made it to the majors. 4 had real careers in the majors.
Yeah.
Or 7 made it, but 3 barely. One guy had 1 at bat in the majors, but good for him. He's now the first base coach for the Yankees. Good dude, Travis Chapman. But anyway, the other 93 guys never got out of the minors, and most of them never got out of A-ball, and with rare exceptions, they all had hot girlfriends.
Major League tail.
That's it. That's it. What? You think they got those girls for their personality? Give me a break. Let's stick with special teams for a minute. We'll get to the offensive defensive thing here. Yeah, Dustin Hopkins, you're right, would 100% be cut if he had not signed the extension. I mean, I guess at this point, they probably can get out of the money for the third year in 2026. So at this point,
I got the cap numbers real quick if
go
you
ahead.
want them. So for 2025 next season, he has a guaranteed salary of $2.8 million. It's 2.9 against the cap, but if they cut him,
Yeah.
it's a $5.67 million dead cap.
They
hit.
can't cut
Fine.
him.
Whatever. What's another $5 million compared to
You know what I would try to
$170
do at least? I know this is crazy, but I'd put him on IR for the rest of the season, pick up somebody to kick the rest of the year, and hope he gets over the yips and can be good next year, and then you move on from him after that.
The way
But Kadarius Toney's got to be the hell out of here.
just when y'all was sitting there talking, I came to my conclusion in my heart of hearts. I was just listening to y'all, and I was like, I have no faith that they're getting any draft picks right. None.
This upcoming
This
draft?
one, none.
Okay, so
I was just sitting there thinking,
It's
I'm like,
hard to have faith.
I'm like, okay, well, they just gave this kicker. They missed on that one. Okay. Well, they did get Kadarius Toney and threw him back there, and he's taking L's. All right, well, they did put Jared Wills on IR, and I thought he was a top 10 pick. Man, listen, I have no faith in none of these picks.
I mean, Kadarius Toney was a flyer. Clear. It's not working.
I'm not going to. Yeah.
Dustin Hopkins, what did they give up for him? A fifth or something like that?
Seventh.
Seventh?
Yeah.
All right, you got a good year out of him. Now you compound it by
Oh, but
giving
they
him a
haven't. He
contract.
hasn't drafted particularly well.
No.
They haven't had first round.
No,
picks.
but you can't lump Kadarius
No, I
Toney
agree.
and
I wouldn't
Hopkins
put
in with
those-
Wills. Wills is a miss. That's a miss.
A bad miss.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I'm lumping in is like I'm lumping in all like the David Bells of the world, where they're like, "Oh, we really wanted David Bell," and I'm lumping in all these people, and I'm like, "All right, where are the real playmakers? Like, where Dustin? When you watch these guys, do you look and say, "Wow, that guy"? I watch games every week, and there's 2 or 3 guys other teams have like, man, that guy's. Even Jalen Warren.
I was gonna say Pittsburgh has 4 of those guys.
I said Warren is moving out here. He's moving at a different speed than what we got. And
Warren kills the Browns.
And we have
Who's the other receiver who had a star balling?
Scotty Miller.
18? Who's number 18?
The white guy.
Mike Williams.
Yeah,
the
that
old
he
Chargers
starts
receiver.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. He's not really a playmaker at this point in his career.
I'm just saying
all we
that
saying
they
is
got guys that look like playmakers.
They got guys. If
Warren does look like a
If their
playmaker.
no name gangsters look like playmakers against us,
Yeah.
Do you know how bad that is?
I don't think the Steelers are a good example. I don't think they have a lot of playmakers, which is why it's more even amazing a job that Tomlin does.
They beat us handedly
With no wide receivers.
They didn't even have Pickens. Mike Williams made a couple plays. The Miller kid, Freiermuth.
Freiermuth had a couple
But they
catches.
got
That was a great play by Miller with that catch on the sideline. I
Yes.
can't believe he got both feet in.
ridiculous.
That was incredible.
They got two running backs that are better than anything we got.
That's true.
Their corners are looking Porter Jr. over the guys we got. Newsom.
The Steelers are a better run franchise. I mean, yeah.
But back to Mike's question.
Yeah.
Special teams is the correct answer. But
Yeah.
if you're going to make me pick between offense and defense,
No, we'll do offense, defense
we'll
later.
get that back.
We're going to
But
stick with special teams for now.
You wanted to
Yeah.
specifically touch on Kadarius.
Yeah,
Toney
Kadarius
and what
Toney.
happened.
I mean, that guy. He only keeps getting chances because he was a first-round pick and he's fast. It's ridiculous.
and did he score in the Super Bowl? Did he score a
Yes,
touchdown?
he
in the Super
did
Bowl?
last
He
year.
did. He did. He
was the punt
stinks,
return,
though.
right?
He's terrible, and he's a selfish player because the Browns are losing. We're talking about his muff punt, which is one thing. How about the taunting penalty
was
before
worse.
that?
The penalty was worse.
That's a disgrace.
You're going to screw up and muff a punt. It's going
Yeah.
to happen. It's the undisciplined crap like
That's
that
right.
that's worse.
It's just absurd.
It's immaturity.
It's why his career is where he is. And by the way, one of the Bengals beat reporters made a comment about Kadarius Toney. I can't remember who it is. Bengals beat reporter, shut up, because the Bengals drafted John Ross 1 pick before Patrick Mahomes. And I know they don't need Mahomes because they got Burrow. I get it, but shut up. We can't be Bengals beat reporters shouldn't be laughing at any other teams. The Bengals are 4-8 and they suck, and you suck for pointing that out. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I just don't.
Little anger there.
When you get guys that just got here a second ago,
Yeah.
and they popping off already, they getting
Right.
penalties already. It says to me they feel comfortable enough to get that off. It's like going on the first date, and she got an attitude already. Talking about, hey, I hate traffic. Whoa. Why do we got to go to this restaurant? What? No. This is date 1, bro. You're supposed to be on your best behavior. My thing is, it's a telltale sign that everyone that comes in to the Browns organization, whether it be a guy that came from Kansas City or a guy like John Johnson or Thornhill or any of these guys, they come in and it's almost like they treat us like these charity cases where it's like, dude, you don't need to speak for us. You need to come in and play. Like, we don't need, like, it's like trying to get a stepdad when you're 16. Like, come on, bro. Hey, come on, John. Listen, just take me to the game, spend your money. I'm a little old.
The relationship stuff's not really going to happen at this point.
But yeah, we'll
be buddies.
We'll be cool. Like, but I'm not going to ask you for no information. Like, come on now, dog.
Will Kadarius Toney play another snap in a Browns uniform?
He should.
He better not.
I don't understand why they put him in for that last punt return after it looked like they had benched him.
They don't bench anybody.
But they had for an offensive series.
That's not a bench. Benching is multiple games where you say, what happened to that guy?
He was the
Let me tell you something, man. I got a buddy of mine who was a high draft pick for the Patriots, and I guess I can say his name, Cyrus Jones. Patriots, Alabama.
I remember him.
Good buddy of mine. He was telling me recently about how he had some muff punt issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like it was like in his head, like yips, basically. And he said he muffed this one punt, and it was like the second game in a row he did it. And the team, he's like, it was unbelievable. He's walking through the facility, and the coaches it's like a scarlet letter. They turned their back to him.
I heard that about the Patriots. They said with the Patriots, if you in there messing up, jumping off sides,
they don't even talk to you.
The whole support staff, the people in the front office, the guy that's parking cars, they will not talk to you. Like it's like, hey,
that's kind of funny.
Where that?
Belichick?
Where that?
Belichick was there, right?
Where that?
I mean, and it's not just him. I mean, I've had a lot of buddies that play for the Patriots. It's like if you mess up, it's like they turn their backs to you, man.
That's because Belichick wants to look at the 19-year-old girlfriend he has. Right?
Good for him, man.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Is he going to be a coach in North Carolina?
But you know what? That's one way to get your attention.
Oh, wow.
That's
what, date a 19-year-old when you're 70?
No, in terms of, because it's like, how do you eliminate mistakes? How do you, especially the undisciplined mistakes, going back to what we were talking about earlier. Because Freddie used to say, oh, we don't coach penalties. Well,
he sounded like such an idiot when he said that.
But here's the thing. They do coach penalties because you let it happen.
Yeah, that's right.
One of my great coaches at Ohio State used to say all the time, he's like, undisciplined players coached by undisciplined coaches. Because if you are just watching your guys jump off sides or have these undisciplined penalties pre-snap, that's on you.
Yeah.
Because you're not holding them accountable. There are no consequences outside of the 5-yard penalty, outside the, on the field. Like, are you going to take away playing time? Are you not going to start? Are you going to not make the trip? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes those things have to happen to players to actually start making better decisions.
I was going to say, so how do you fix, I don't remember who the coach was. This might have been pre-Kevin. It might have been when Kevin was here. I don't remember. They had this thing. Guys kept jumping off sides on defense so much. If you jumped off sides, you were out the next play.
You bench guys. You take them off the field.
Miles
you have to do something.
It was the game against the Lions.
Yeah.
It was crappy weather. Miles jumps off sides. Somebody runs in for him, and he's looked at him. He's like, I ain't coming out. And he had to run right back out. Miles wouldn't come out of the game, which is Miles. I get it. But it was just funny that Miles was like, I ain't coming out of the game. You ain't pulling me because I jumped off sides.
That's also a problem.
That is. I don't like that.
It's a terrible attitude.
Here's how you police it. Myles Garrett has to police it. And so Greg Popovich always said, you got to be your best player has to give you the latitude to coach him hard. He coached Tim Duncan as hard as he coached everybody. He would kill Tony Parker. And so when you tell him Myles Garrett and you get him to buy in and say, listen, man, I need you that when people jumping off sides, you need to grab them and tell them to get out. And if I come get you, you got to get out.
Yeah.
You need players that take the rope and take the lead. And if you don't have that, it's a wrap. It's just not. It's going to get to the end of the season. These guys is rich. Can you imagine? Think about it, we were just trash all show, just trash. We did 30 minutes. And they gave us our checks and we just rolled out. I'm going to buy some shoes.
Well, that's why I say, like, how do you get their attention to correct this stuff? You can't find them. Okay, here. That's not going to matter. I mean, playing time, I guess. But when you drill down to it, how do you correct this stuff?
You have to have special people at special positions, and
some of it's just luck, having the right guys,
and getting the right. Yeah. If you get the right people, that's why player accusation is big. That's why drafting the right person is important, because really, you listen to your peers. You don't listen to the dudes up top.
It's a great Saban line, man. You got to get the right guys on the bus and the wrong guys off the bus. Period. And at the end of the day, if you got the wrong guys on the bus or on the team that are out there playing and they're getting the reps and they're making the mistakes and you keep letting it happen, like you have no ability to create a culture. And the thing with Myles Garrett's a great point, and I think Myles is a phenomenal player. Had a hell of a game, by the way, unblockable this past Sunday. But like if a guy like that's not doing it and not going to self-police, then you're already doomed.
That's bad. And if you're coaching different,
and
if you're coaching guys differently,
it was one play I noticed a couple of years. I don't want to make this into but I'm just saying.
It's more just pointing out, hey, the star players have to be.
That's right.
Coaches on the field, essentially.
And star players that don't have help, that don't believe that they're going to get them help, they get beat down. You start to say, you know what, I'm gonna just. It's like voting. I'm just worried about myself.
All right, let's
I ain't worried about that.
Let's leave it there for now. We'll get back to the Browns in a little bit. Let's talk some Cavs. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, we got to get into Evan Mobley's performance over the weekend. But first, Hillsdale College wants to remind everyone that time is the most precious commodity, so don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. You can spend it more wisely by offering and taking one of Hillsdale College's 40 free, that's right, free online courses, including Constitution 101, the meaning and history of the Constitution, Introduction to Free Market Economics, The Great American Story, A Land of Hope, The Rise and Fall of the Roman Republic, and a brand new documentary-style course on Marxism, Socialism, and Communism. All of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced, so you can start wherever, tune in whenever. Plus, you can go deeper with readings, quizzes, discussions, or just enjoy the lectures. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost. It's easy to get started. That is hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register. hillsdale.edu/lockedon. So on Saturday, Evan Mobley joined some elite company. Steve, take tag board full here, but he joined Kevin Durant as only the second player in NBA history, 25 years or younger, to record 40 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 5 3-point makes in the Cavs' win over the Charlotte Hornets. If you look at their box scores from these two games, Steve, take 299 when you're ready. Pretty eerily similar. Durant did it in his second year. This is Mobley's fourth year. However, both under 25. Both scored 41 points. Both made 6 threes. Both had 10 rebounds. Both had 3 blocks. And we had heard coming out when Mobley was going through the draft process that at his ceiling, at his peak, he may have some KD comparisons and some KD tendencies. Listen, I'm not going there. I'm just asking. He hit 3 threes against Denver on Thursday. He hit 6 threes, a career high on Saturday. Are you willing to believe that there is some sort of ceiling closer to the realm of a Kevin Durant than just a Kevin Garnett?
Nope.
You ain't hyping me up. Hey, ultimate Cavs guy, you go. You're not hyping me up.
Nobody's beat the Evan Mobley drum harder than I have over the last 3 years. You ain't catching me with this.
No, this is a reach.
Yeah.
I'm just asking the question. I didn't say it.
I mean, he could be tougher than Kevin Durant, who's soft as Charmin.
No.
Off the court, at least.
There will be no. There will. After I seen what KD did to us in 17, there will be no slander.
KD is a killer.
He's a killer.
He's a killer.
Shooting the ball from half court on us.
No, I mean.
So we can squash the KD comparisons
I mean,
with
that's
Jason.
true. He really carried that Warriors team. They couldn't have won without him.
All right, whatever. He's a really good player.
Of course he is.
A really good player.
He's freaking awesome.
Incredible shooting display from Mobley, though, who does look more and more confident by the game.
And that's what
taking
matters.
and shooting.
He doesn't have to be Kevin Durant, but you're seeing him grow into everything that when he was coming out of the draft, everyone thought he could be, and it's finally coming together for him, and it's great to see. I'd be thrilled with the Anthony Davis / Chris Bosh, and those aren't really the same because Chris was more of a 3-point shooter. I still think Bosh is probably a better, more realistic ceiling for him than KD, and that's pretty doggone good.
You know, what's interesting, too, is like before Kevin Durant, there really wasn't anyone we compared Kevin Durant to, did we?
Nobody that was that big could shoot like he could.
Yeah.
Kevin Garnett.
And play the way he could.
But Garnett didn't shoot that many threes.
But it was just more like, okay, well, he kind of looks like him. He's got some skill set that's similar. But like to me, I don't even like Mobley's different than those guys. Like, yeah, he's long, he's tall, and he's skilled like a Durant. But Durant is just a fluid athlete. Like he's a different type of athlete.
He's smooth.
And so like there's a chance, like maybe what if Mobley creates his own? Like people were like, oh, it'd be like Evan Mobley in 10 years from now. Like I think this guy is special, but we don't have to put limitations on him or comparisons onto these other players. I don't think it's fair to him and his growth.
Man, there was a topic. I was racking my brain when I seen the rundown at home. I was like, man, McNuggets had this topic. It was like, what's more likely, Evan Mobley hitting like?
I had 7 threes in a game.
Right.
And y'all laughed at me.
But what was
we all took the threes.
What was the other alternative though?
I'll find it. Hold on.
Because I was like, as soon as I saw the topic, I was like,
It was
I was like, I know McNuggets.
7 threes or 100-point game. Maybe. No.
It wasn't that. But
it was Evan Mobley recording a quadruple double or hitting 7 threes in a game.
Yeah, well, 7 threes in a game.
Well, now it's the 7 threes. We killed you for that. But when I saw him pulling up,
we all said the 7 threes, by the way.
Yeah, by the way, we did. We say, but then we said there was like a 0.5% chance because we looked up how many threes he's shooting a game. It's like 3.
Yep.
And I'm gonna tell you what. Games like this do one or two things. Either that gives you the ultimate green light where you start taking bad shots, or it just opens his mind up to being like super aggressive and being like, oh no, I need to be the number 2 option.
Then he sprained his ankle last night.
Yeah,
What's the status?
I
they don't play again until
I
Friday.
was salty.
It was a back-to-back.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he'll get treatment today. They'll be off today.
They're staying in Miami till Wednesday, by the way.
Oh, they are? I didn't know that.
Enjoying a few days in the Miami weather.
Well, they're off because of the NBA Cup, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that sucked a little bit because I wanted to see how he would bounce back the next game. Because when I was watching it, I go back and watch and listen to the opposing teams announcing, just to see, because you be watching the Cavs, they be homers, right? So I like to go back and check them out
On that league pass.
Yeah. Hey, the Hornets staff was like, hey, this Evan Mobley.
Hey.
I like when somebody hype up your guys.
Is that Eric Collins on the Hornets?
He was like, yeah, this Evan Mobley guy. I mean, if he's doing this, the Cavs are just they're going to be a tough out. I'm just telling you. He loved this game. But when he was hitting them threes, I was like, oh, okay. It's like somebody had a nice pair of shoes. I see you today.
We've talked about it for years. When Evan Mobley, if Evan Mobley becomes this team's number 1 player, their best option, they are a bona fide championship contender. And you're seeing it happen. And that's not to take anything away from Donovan. Mm-hmm. Donovan can continue to be a terrific player. It's just hard to win at a consistently high level. It's hard to win championships when your best player is a 6-foot guard.
Can he be number 2?
Who?
Isn't that good enough?
Mobley?
Mobley's their second best guy?
I mean, sure, if it's 1 and 1A.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, when your best player is big,
yeah,
throughout history, it really helps. And it's happening. You're seeing it happen. And
that was incredible.
Donovan Mitchell's still the best player on this team.
Yeah, sure.
Period.
Yeah.
And that's who's going to have the ball in his hands when the game's on the line.
Kind of by default.
We've talked about it. We saw it in the Boston game. That's the way it should be. But Mobley is growing into the type of option that they really, really need. And it's great to see.
Games like this, Jason, make me say, they lost to the Heat. I was like, man, I was watching the game with my wife, and she was like, man, I'm not used to seeing.
How greedy are we?
I'm not used to seeing the Cavs.
23, I'm like, oh, they're going to lose a game.
I started saying,
I expect them to win every game.
I did too. I said, man, I'm sounding like Jason Lloyd right now. I said, well, this was a scheduled loss. So I said, this is, Evan Mobley twisted his ankle. I'm more interested in Evan Mobley having 41 the other game.
Yep.
These games like this happen. I said, hold on. Man, I got a lot of Jason Lloyd in that, bro. I said scheduled loss. But listen, Miami plays the Cavs I don't know, better.
Cavs never play well in Miami.
They had LeBron, Kyrie, they have all of them. I've seen them go down and get blown out.
I covered every game for 8 years.
Is the Miami flu a real thing?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. For sure. I covered that team for 8 years, every game. I never saw a Cavs win in Miami. With or without LeBron. LeBron was here 4 years, they never won in Miami. Never.
Anybody see that video of LeBron getting caught lying about when he started playing basketball?
No.
Has anybody seen that?
There's 100 videos of him lying.
There's a lot of them.
No, but there's this video of him talking about
he was saying,
he was saying, I didn't really start playing until I was in the 6th or 7th grade or something.
What?
And something like that. And then there's another video of him saying, oh yeah, I've been doing that since I was 8 years old.
Well, there's the famous picture of him with a hoop when he was 5 at Christmas.
I don't know, but I watched a video of him saying he didn't play basketball until he was a certain grade.
I mean, truthfulness is not something that I look for in any athletes, media members. or politicians.
That's
Jason, can you touch a little bit on?
I don't know. You don't stick media members in with athletes and politicians.
Oh, they're up in there. They're there. We embellish a lot. I
don't know about that.
Jason, can you touch a little bit on what Mobley's ability to space the floor does for the rest of the Cavs offense and why that's such a big deal if he's stepping into these threes with confidence and knocking him down at – he's not going to shoot 6 of 8 every game, but knocking him down – he's 40% of the season now, so knocking him down at that kind of efficiency.
I mean, if he's making 40% of his shots, I don't care. That's incredible. And Kenny talked about it the other night. Kenny said he wants him taking bad threes. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because the more that he's taking these shots, the more comfortable that he's taking them in rhythm, even out of rhythm sometimes. You have to draw the defense. Because right now – teams are going to view Evan Mobley shooting threes like we've seen them defend Isaac Okoro shooting threes for the last couple of years.
Half-hearted.
No one's going to respect it, and whatever big he's on is going to give him that shot, and they're going to stay in the lane. But if he's taking 5 a night and he's making 2 or 3, then you're going to pull the big out, and that changes the entire dynamic of the floor spacing. It creates all kinds of driving lanes, driving kick options. We've already talked at length about the drive kick swing.
Yeah.
All of that opens up just by the defender who's ever's guarding him respecting his ability to shoot threes, even if it's 2 steps. 2 or 3 steps can make all the difference in the world.
In that post-game press conference that you talked about on Thursday when they beat Denver, Thursday, he specifically talked about some of the big guys that are good defenders on other teams and how that's why it's so important to get them out of the paint.
And I thought
that'll be big come playoff time.
And I thought Donovan was really good talking about one of the things that he worked on with Evan over the summer was getting his feet set quick. And not like 1, 2, and up, but like really getting his feet down and getting into a shot. And if you watch it, you're seeing that with Evan. You're seeing cleaner footwork and a little bit faster footwork. And it's all those little things that add up to make a big difference.
Mike?
Just on that point, I'm going to put the video up, Steve. Next person who goes, you don't have to play it yet, but watch his footwork. This is from the Denver game. The third 3 he makes, watch how quickly he gets it in the corner, catches and shoots. So whoever wants to go, you can continue talking about it. But just keep that eye on how quick and fluid the shot looks compared to even last season. And frankly, even earlier in this season. It's getting out of his hands as quick as it ever has, and that's paying dividends in terms of the efficiency.
All right, let's see it.
This is the one I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah, just get set and go.
Yeah, it's a big difference. Last year I felt like when he shot a 3, it was almost like he was forcing it, or it was awkward.
It was awkward. It was
Right?
very uncomfortable for him to shoot threes, and it was almost felt like it was forced.
He's just playing.
There's a lot more rhythm there than there was last year. I don't know that it's a lot faster. I think it's smoother, and he looks more confident. You're totally right about the footwork there.
Now, he shot that one off the dribble. Now, if he starts shooting threes off the dribble.
Kenny Atkins said that was his favorite miss he's had all season.
That right there? Or the other one?
The step back.
The step back.
Yeah, if you want to shoot that off the dribble, I'm like, okay, well, now that's different. When you can hit step backs, that's a whole nother game plan.
Last year he was hesitating a lot, and it was a half a beat, or do I really want to pull it here? And this year, I've seen a few hesitations, but for the most part, it's just catch and go.
And McNuggets, I think the release will get faster.
That was a quick one.
I think the release will get faster too as he starts to shoot and get more comfortable with it. I like that 3 right there because it was like,
he shot it with confidence.
You gonna back up off me?
I think that's the word, confidence. He's just doing everything with way more confidence.
You just don't want him to think. You want him to if he's got an open look at a 3-pointer, you want him to just shoot it and not be like, should I shoot it? Like Isaac Okoro, I think, thinks about a shot before he takes it every time. I think that Mobley used to be that way, not this year.
And this is an important piece. The 3-point shot's a really important piece, but it's not all of it. It's just the overall aggressiveness that we've seen of him attacking the basket. We've talked about it before. His usage rate's the highest of his career. It's just being more demanding of the ball, being more aggressive when he has the ball, knowing where he wants to get with it. He just looks like a completely different player.
Note to self, guys, if you're a kid, if you got a kid and he's like 6'6", do not have him playing with his back to the basket. You better get him some skill sets, bro. Like all that hanging around, picking and screening. You better be able to get your own shot, get to the dribble. So, I like the development.
As we were paring down the sports with AJ, I told him, like, listen, dude, you're best at your ceiling with basketball you're going to be 6'1" with a busted jumper. This is not your sport.
Right.
Pick something else. There is no future for you in basketball.
Ain't no future in front.
Go ahead, Mike. Let's get back to the Browns.
Yeah, let's talk a little
NC
about
Breen.
Jameis Winston and his performance yesterday. You can tackle all your NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. G, I want to start this next topic off with you, but we said it on the post-game show. I'm not sure if Bull, Dustin, and Jason had a chance to hear it, but the screen interception that Jameis threw essentially broke you. And you had been on extend Jameis immediately.
Are you off the Jameis bandwagon already?
Hey, listen, man.
You were just saying, you and Jay, pay this man an extension.
It broke me, bro.
Oh, my God.
You're not broke. You're just cut. Because if he throws 3 bills next week, you're going to be screaming to send him again.
I think this is different this time. I think it's maybe I'm maturing, getting older. The pick on the screen pass hurt my heart because I even had to go back and listen to the press conference. Right, I listened to him. I wanted to know what he saw in that play because when you take a look at it, he pump fakes. You see him pump fake a little bit, like he's trying to look around, and then instead of just taking the rock and throwing it into the ground and living to fight another day, he throws it, they pick it off the defensive lineman. It's a defensive lineman's dream. And guess what? It dawned on me, and I said to myself, you just got to know the temperature of the game. If you're a quarterback, right, before that interception, the Browns are up 7-3. Russell Wilson is struggling. He couldn't complete a pass. The Boo Birds were even coming out a little bit.
They were completely out of rhythm.
They was
The
out of
Steelers
rhythm.
were.
As a quarterback, I need you to understand, as the coach understands, that I need to control the pace, especially on the road. Control pace, control the crowd, control the incomplete passes. And when you throw that, you basically hand them momentum. They go down, they score a touchdown, and then from that, it was done. Because now you already had a bunch of guys on defense. Like, oh, here we go. And from there, you just couldn't get back. It snowballed. And so the reason I said it broke me a little bit was because no matter what you say, the Duke and knee jerk or whatever it is, the one thing that I do know is winnable and non-winnable games and winnable and non-winning football. And if you do that, in these type of, it's cool to throw for 500 or 600 or whatever. But it's the small little stuff, the little stuff, like right there. Like, this is a game against Pittsburgh. What if that's the AFC Championship game? I don't think you can coach that out of a person. I just think that's just,
That's what me and Bull been saying for a month.
It's just awareness. It's just awareness. Now, here's the thing. When I say
coach awareness.
You can't coach awareness. And the thing about it is, I'm not saying Jameis Winston might not be the best option for them next year. He might be. He might be the best thing you got, and you got to roll with it. What I'm saying to you is this. The pipe dream of, okay, well, maybe he's going to wake up and get 11, 12 wins and he going to get to a Super Bowl. Nah, I mean, it's the same thing that our complaints we had with Baker. It's the same thing. And it's at just a higher version or higher level. But you can't have that. You have to understand the room, Bull. You got to understand the game. And quarterbacks with less talent can win games like that because you know what they'll do? I don't got no problem. I'll throw the ball out of bounds 45 times, but I'm looking for 2 or 3 plays that could change this game.
And by the way, Baker's now like second or third in the league in turnovers through another 2 picks. Now, they did win. They're playing a very favorable schedule down the stretch, but still. And Jameis is like 5th or 6th in interceptions already, even though he's played 7 games.
And what's funny about that is yesterday I felt like there were times where he didn't force it. Like he was cognizant of it.
Cognizant
and
of
the
it.
Steelers did a great job of covering guys down the field. There was a couple times he took a couple sacks because they were coverage sacks.
Yeah.
So even when he's aware and cognizant of it, he's still throwing interceptions on screens.
You can't float a ball when there's 5 defenders there. There was 5 guys there. You can't float a ball. And that second pick was a terrible throw also.
And by the way, even the ones that weren't getting picked, he was missing guys.
He was missing
badly
Well, and
all
here's
day.
the thing, Mike, and here's the thing, like, I remember last week, and Jay loves these numbers, and G loved them last week, but, like, you brought up, here, if you extrapolate his games over a season, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing, okay? Jameis Winston is fresh. A lot of quarterbacks, they've played 12, 13 games already. A lot of defensive linemen. Guys are tired. So Jameis comes in, any quarterback. And that's why you often, when there's a quarterback change, unless the guy is terrible, which Jameis is not terrible, obviously.
They got that tape.
Guys
tape.
come in and they put up numbers right away a lot of times.
That tape is devastating. They take away
But not only the tape, just you're fresh. You haven't been taking the hits that everybody else has been taking.
Them throws that you good at, Bull, them throws that is money for you, they go in 3 games and be like, we're not giving you that.
And Jameis has a great arm, and he can make incredible throws. And I'm not taking that away from him at all. He can make some terrific highlight throws that Sean loves to point out on Fridays and whatever other days. It's the other stuff that kills. I wrote today, he's like an old Porsche with no brakes and 1 airbag. It's a great ride. Eventually you're going to crash, and it's going to hurt. And that's just what it's like playing with Jameis Winston. Yeah. He's going to win you some games. He's going to lose you just as many.
And so what I'm saying is, you gotta be okay. You can't expect anything else. Like you gotta be okay with, that was a great game last week. That was 500. But you gotta be okay knowing that it could be 225 and 1 touchdown, 3 picks the next week. And that you just got to be okay with that.
And you're just not going to consistently win with guys that throw too many interceptions.
The interceptions are just killers. The league's too good. The narrow margin of victory every week is so slim. You can't be negative in the turnover battle, and you certainly can't give teams short fields. Like a pick 6, I wonder what the stat is. I bet it's very, very low. Teams that actually win a game throwing a pick 6. I mean, it's devastating.
How about 2? How about throwing 2 pick 6s?
Well, then 0% chance.
I mean, you play for a guy that said punting isn't bad.
The punt is the most important play in football.
Jim Tressel was using the punt as a weapon. Yeah, we're gonna punt this right down there, and
he's not wrong though. I mean, it's a strategic weapon in this sport,
especially if you ain't got a quarterback that's elite.
I asked him about that. He said it's the biggest change. It's the most yardage swing on one play in a game. And it just felt like, I mean, we're getting really off topic, but Tress would like punt it, play defense. You get the ball back. Maybe you get a 3 and out. You punt it again. And it's just a war of attrition. You just keep pushing them back with your defense.
And that worked in that style of college football.
That was a different era.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I commend him for not so much at that
Still
level.
Works if you have the defense.
Yes. I call that just awareness of what you got on defense and what you got on offense and playing towards those strengths.
But he also loved field goals. You can't win with field goals anymore.
So to me, when I say it broke me, it just because I felt when he threw that, I'm like, well, you just gave them. You don't have the horses right now. I would have rathered you. Because he was, like to Jason's point, he was throwing the ball away. He was taking some coverage sacks, which I didn't mind.
Right.
I thought it got to a point where the Steelers did him like this. Hey, look.
Eventually.
Jameis is going to try to play smart.
Yeah.
Okay. But eventually, we're going to keep giving him this look, and he's going to say, damn it.
He can't help himself.
I can't stand it no more.
And by the way, until those last 2 possessions where the game was 27-7, whatever it was, and then the Browns scored, and then they got it one more time before they fumbled the punt. Before those last 2 possessions, the Browns were actually very balanced in terms of run pass in this game.
Yeah.
The final numbers look spread apart because I think those last 2 possessions, they had 13.
25 to 41, which, I mean, is not terrible. It's better than it was.
Right, but in those last 2 possessions, it was 13-2 passes. So you take those last 2 possessions out where it was a blowout, it was about 55-45, which is where you want to be, 55-45 in terms of run pass. And I thought they ran the ball okay compared to what they've been. I mean, it was better. Certainly wasn't great.
What are they going to do with it? I don't know what they're going to do with it. What are they doing with Dorsey? What are they doing with that?
I think if Kevin Stefanski's back, Dorsey's back.
I would fire him.
Dorsey?
Yes. I'd fire him.
I don't. What are they? I don't know what this
Why?
hodgepodge.
Is it because you don't believe Stefanski wants him here?
No, I just don't think. Regardless of how he got here,
Yeah.
and I still haven't put all the pieces together of how he got here.
Yeah.
It's not working. The offense is better, and now you can't go get AVP back. But the offense is better with AVP.
Right, but this year the offense was better with Dorsey.
Overall, I would take last year's offense and the year prior than whatever they're trying to establish this year. It's been a disaster.
I
this
feel
year.
like
They scored 14 points through the last 6 games. Now, they should have had 20. They missed 2 kicks yesterday. You scored 14
Right, but
points.
look where
they're not scoring points.
But look what they did with Watson. I mean, they
well, Watson's a
scored at all.
disaster. Watson's a total disaster. Even without Watson, with Jameis, they scored. I'd have to look. Maybe it's 19 points. I think maybe it's 19. 3 of the last 6 games. They're just not scoring enough. I would fire him.
This is why it's so frustrating. You say apathy is set in because there's no clear-cut anything. If you ask people, do you get rid of Dorsey or keep him? One person will say get rid of him, one will say keep. You ask the question about anybody. You don't know what's going on at quarterback. You don't know who's the coordinator. You don't, like, all of this stuff is just, it's hard to pick over. I will say this. The passing game looks better with Winston, but the running game needs a complete overhaul.
Well, we'll get to the running game.
go ahead,
I want
Mike.
to ask one more question on Winston real quick, though. So the screen interception broke G. Bush. Bull, Justin, Jason, you guys have been more on the not as in on Jameis being the guy for sure moving forward. Did anything yesterday surprise you about his game?
No.
Or was it pretty much what you expected?
Yes.
No, I
knowing what
expect
you're
him to
getting
be
from
up and
Jameis?
down, and that's what he is. Are there 32 quarterbacks in the league better than him? Absolutely not.
No.
He should be a starter for some team in the NFL.
I agree.
He's in that group of starters that, yeah, he's better than other guys, but can you really win when it matters in big spots with him? I don't think you can. Nothing's changed for me with Jameis. I think there's a decent chance he's their best option. But if for next year, for 1 year, because I think the Browns might be better off for once having a young quarterback and letting the veteran play 1 year and letting him sit. But ultimately, if they move on from Jameis, I don't really care that
I mean,
much.
if they have a top 5 pick and they take a quarterback, they don't need a bridge quarterback. They're going to play the kid.
Well, maybe they should.
Right or wrong,
Yeah.
they're going to play the kid.
I know, but that has not worked for them.
I mean,
That's the way of the NFL.
I mean, they're in a position where they, you know, what's backing the kid up. You can't. That's the thing. You have to have people. If you ask people, people say they need a different quarterback other than Deshaun Watson. If it happens to be a kid, they're going to put their kid in.
Right now, they have the 6th pick in the draft. They're playing a very strong schedule the rest of the year. I mean, record-wise, outside of the Bengals, all the teams they're playing are 500. Obviously, the Chiefs and the Ravens.
What's the Dolphins' record? Are they 500?
Dolphins.
They won yesterday.
I thought they were 1 game under.
I think they're 6 and 7.
All right.
So that sounds right.
Right?
They are 6 and 7, correct?
But their strength of schedule is just going to go up. And
You think the Browns going to win more games?
They're going to win another game.
I mean, absolute best case scenario, they win 2.
Yeah. They could win
But
2.
they could win 0, definitely.
Sure.
Yeah.
They could beat Miami.
But some of
They'll get
they're
up to this
tied.
week.
There's a lot of teams that have 3
I don't
wins.
know if they're going to win, but they'll play well this week. Watch.
But they won't win.
They could.
I wouldn't. I mean, of course they could. They could.
What's the spread? 6?
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. What is the spread, Mike? Have you seen it?
I could look it up for
The
you.
game's
right now.
here.
Yeah,
the
probably
game's here.
5-6 points. I bet.
According to FanDuel, it is a 6-point spread.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah. I mean, all the Chiefs games have been
it's
close.
like you've done this
pretty much.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but unless they end. Again, I'm no draft expert. Everybody thinks the quarterbacks in this draft aren't that good.
Yeah.
And I just
So who knows if the Browns are going to even draft a quarterback?
Correct.
They shouldn't draft one just to draft one.
I was looking at Texas and Georgia. I don't want either one of them. I don't want them. I thought Quinn Ewers was better than that, man.
Didn't Georgia play better with their backup quarterback?
Both those are 2 of the best defenses in the country, dude.
I mean, Quinn Ewers had a lot of Colt McCoy in him. I was just like, I thought his arm was a little stronger than that. I don't look. If it was me, I'd be the dude to be like, hey, listen, I'm starting Arch, man.
Well, we'll get more into college football a little later, but let's go.
Before we move to the next topic,
Yeah.
according to Tankathon, which Bull I know is not 100% correct, and you have your beef with Tankathon. They have the 8th pick right now, not the
Browns
6th.
are the 6th pick right now. They're wrong.
I'm just telling you what I'm looking at.
Well,
right now.
at 6, you ain't gonna get no quarterback. 6, you're out of the Travis Hunter, 2 quarterbacks. You might get that defensive end from Penn State. I like him.
Abdul
Carter. I
Yeah,
like
we'll
him.
talk about more
There's
of
some
the
really bad teams in the NFL right now. But go ahead.
There's a lot of teams at the
Yeah.
bottom of the basement. We're going to talk a little bit about the run game and Nick Chubb after a quick word from Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike on other apps with Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you can watch all the winnings roll in. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can even double your money if one of your picks doesn't hit. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win to receive the bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game when you want.
By the way, can I spend 30 seconds ranting about how dumb of an organization the Bengals are? Do you mind? 30 seconds?
Sure.
Zach Taylor should absolutely be fired. He's done a hideous job. There is no excuse for the Bengals being 4-8 this season. They've lost so many games that they should have won this year. They lost to the freaking Patriots earlier this season. I mean, they barely beat the Giants, and they've had some of the most ridiculous losses. And right now, if you're not, I know the Bengals generally are cheap. I get it, although they spent a lot more money in recent years. If you're a free agent coach right now, wouldn't you rather the Bengals job than any other job?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, I'll take that job.
You got Joe Burrow.
Yep.
I'll take that job.
And the owner doesn't meddle. The one thing I'll give him, he don't meddle at all. Now, he don't spend enough, but he doesn't meddle. You don't have to deal with meetings with like this Jimmy Haslam nonsense. And yet they won't fire him. They'll stick with him. You know why? Because he's got 2 years left on his contract. They don't want to pay 2 coaches. Mike
What's he
Vrabel
making?
would be you don't think Mike Vrabel would take that job?
What's Zach Taylor making?
I don't know, but
lot.
they don't
Stefanski money, probably, right? Similar?
probably even less.
Has he been extended?
I can't remember. He must
had
have
to
been.
have been.
Yeah, he must have been this
because
point.
he was there before.
Right?
Kevin.
Yes, because he signed.
There's no
yes.
excuse for them to underachieve the way that they do.
I mean, it's absurd. I get it. You want to say, well, he's not the defensive coach. He's the head coach.
Yeah, the other thing, they've got players on defense.
I know. There's no reason they should be this bad defensively.
There's no chance
They're
they
not
should be
great
this bad.
defensively, but they shouldn't be this bad. It shouldn't be like the worst team in the league.
They have one of the best quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Arguably one of the best receivers, if
Yeah.
not the best receiver.
Yeah. As good
great-
number 2 receiver as there
Yes.
is.
Good
Chase
ru-
Brown underrated as a running back. Guy's
Yeah.
very good.
Very good running back.
Yeah.
I mean, got a good tight end. What
Yeah,
do you,
what's the
their
deal?
offensive line is now solid. Not spectacular, but solid. It's ridiculous.
There's
All right.
no
right,
reason
the
that team
Bengals
should have
is over.
7, 8, 9 wins.
The gentleman
It's
is over
absurd.
his 30
It's
seconds.
absurd. All right, that's end of my rant about the Bengals.
G, you brought up the running game a second ago, how you think they need to revamp the running scheme, the blocking schemes, the entire philosophy behind the running game. But I want to start with Bull on this because when we were talking yesterday about the rundown,
Yeah.
Bull, you said you actually kind of liked what you saw from Nick Chubb yesterday.
I thought it was the most promising game from Nick Chubb. I thought I saw, and maybe I'm just conning myself because I pride myself on being unbiased, but maybe with Nick Chubb I'm a little biased. I don't know because I want him to have a, I don't know, a second career, but I don't want him to be done as a superstar. So, and I'm hoping he's not. But I thought he had more Nick Chubb-esque runs yesterday than I've seen all year.
I agree.
I'm not saying, clearly he's not 100% back to what he was. I'm not trying to argue that at all. But I thought he looked more like himself yesterday more often than we've seen in any other game. Am I crazy?
No.
Or you guys think that was the case too?
No, they're clearly still handling it with kid gloves.
Yep.
11
And
carries.
he did, and by the way, Njoku did get more targets for that.
Oh, did we get that right?
Fence
Who has-
rider.
who's-
13 versus 11
Yeah.
targets over carries.
All right,
I think who was on the Njoku side?
I don't remember. I think
was.
Mike was. Maybe Dustin and Mike. I don't know.
I was on the carries.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
Good.
understand. I agree with you. He did look a little bit more like Nick. I'm still
Yeah.
concerned.
Yeah, sure.
I hear what G's saying, and he's right. Like, you got to give it a year. I just look at the age and the fact that this is 2 traumatic injuries to the same knee, and I'm like, man, I just don't know.
The only thing I'll say is you could bring him back for nothing.
Yes.
Bring him back for nothing and draft a young running
I
back.
mean, I'm almost positive Nick was on the field on that 4th down carry to Jerome Ford. I didn't understand that. If you're going to have,
He was on the field.
yeah, if you're going to have, and Kevin said like that was not what they called. I don't know what happened.
Look at the look on his face. He was pissed.
like that was crazy.
I don't, and again, like, I mean, they got
He
mad at,
said that that's not what he called.
it wasn't executed the way
way
it
they
was
want.
supposed to be. I don't know what
That's throwing
He
Jameis
said-
under the bus.
Well, he said it wasn't to the play design wasn't to lose yards or run backwards.
Right, but then he said it wasn't executed the way it was supposed to be. And I mean, Jameis had the terrible. Remember, he checked out of the whatever. He checked into that terrible end around.
The jet sweep to Tillman early in the
on
year.
fourth
Yeah,
down.
right.
That really kind of. But I don't understand, if you have Ford and Nick Chubb on the field on fourth down, why are you giving it to Ford and not Nick on that? I mean, it's nitpicking a little bit, but it's not. Also,
They need a Jerome Ford, Twinkle Toes, bro. Is this guy? He has good runs. Like he's a special teams guy to me. Put him on a kickoff and see if he can get around a corner. But oh my goodness, this guy. He there was a time where he got around the corner and he just wouldn't put his shoulder down. He just was like, oh, I'm gonna run high. In terms of Nick Chubb, I've always said it's going to take a year. Now, look, Jason could be correct. I had one ACL surgery. Now, I'm not comparing myself to Nick Chubb. Let's be clear about that. I had one ACL surgery in my left knee, and that left knee surgery is beautiful. Everything's great, right? I could jump. I'm doing my thing. This right knee, it's a child. It's a petulant child. It cries. It whines. If we're in an airplane, it hurts. It's just if it's raining outside, it's just a living nightmare. And you never can tell when you have an ACL surgery what the structural foundation is, like whether arthritis is going to sit in, whether or not you're going to have limited mobility, whether you have nerve damage or anything. When you tear that, people got to forget, Nick Chubb tore so many ligaments, he had to have multiple surgeries. They had to have one surgery, let it heal, then come back and get him another one. Like, so he's done this multiple times with his knee. And look, he may come back and be the Nick Chubb that we know, but anytime you get cut on, it's not the same. It's just not. He's hoping for 90-95%. But I think he'll be much better next year. What you're looking at is a guy with no explosiveness right now. And you got to train for explosiveness. Like, he was training for, I'm going to run and walk. Like, he is not training to get better.
I looked up the transcript on that fourth down call.
Yeah.
The question was, what was that? Was that what was supposed to happen? He said, no, not go backwards, obviously. But, yeah, that was not exactly how it was supposed to unfold.
I mean, that's about as close to throwing a player under the bus
as he ever gets, because he never does.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, like,
if you read between the lines, he's telling you, Jameis, F that up. That's what he's saying.
And if you know how much Kevin loathes turnovers, and he despises turnovers, it's why I kept telling you guys, I've never gotten any indication from the Browns that they feel like Jameis could be the guy going forward. They tried trading him, and then they demoted him to third string. At no point were they ever showing any confidence that he could be the guy going forward.
So why'd they sign him in the first place?
I think just to have an option.
Yeah.
And I think DTR had a really good camp, and I think they liked what they saw, and they felt comfortable that they could go with him.
Yeah.
And if you could get something for Jameis at the end of camp, if a team's hungry for a quarterback,
right,
maybe you can create an asset out of nothing.
Yeah.
Turns out nobody else in the league was interested in him either at the end of camp.
True. That's been the case.
And so this is what you got.
Dustin, what did you think about Chubb?
I still think it's going to take time for him to really be back to close to 100%. I don't think he's there yet, clearly. I think that, like Jason said, they're kind of handling him with kid gloves, which is what they should do until he gets back. And for us out there that have these high expectations that are unrealistic, we have to lower those expectations.
Right.
And just let's get through the year. Hopefully he gets through the year healthy.
Right.
Those numbers don't matter. The touchdowns, it doesn't matter. Like, what matters is next year when this team comes back. We don't know who the coach is going to be, quarterback, all these things. We know what we hope is that Nick Chubb can come back and be close to what he was prior to the injury last year.
Nah, he's a free agent, so you would re-sign him on a 1 year
I don't know
deal?
how they don't re-sign him.
You got to.
It's
not going to cost much.
It would send such a bad message after everything that this kid's been through and how that they portrayed how they were handling him.
Right.
It would be they'd be totally hypocrites to let him go.
They are handling him as if they're expecting him to play for them next year.
Yes.
Remember what we talked about earlier in the show? You need guys that are going to exude a certain level of professionalism and say this is what we value. The organization has to show based on how they support guys. This is the value we want. The guys that want to muff punts and trip, We don't value that. He's not back. But we value Nick Chubb and the hard work. Because I'm going to tell you what, it's going to take this season, Kevin Stefanski might survive it, but he took a hit.
Oh, no doubt.
Just from the way the training camp, from the 3 and something to Deshaun Watson stuff. As a coach, he's going to have to go back to the drawing board and start to try to develop to get some of that back. Like he's going to have to reevaluate. Okay, I might have to change some things around. This is my demeanor, but the coaching staff I think deserves to look at. I don't know what Deuce Staley does. I don't know who runs the running game. They're going to have to look at a lot of stuff. I'll put it to you like this. Something got to change. They cannot just run it back.
Yeah,
Stefanski's value was to be a play caller. And if he's not a play caller and the team's still undisciplined, then he has no value.
Is he taking that back?
I don't know.
Am I wrong?
No, I mean,
I think.
Yeah, I don't know that leadership is his.
I mean, you didn't bring this guy in here and say, man, he's got Jim Tressel characteristics in terms of leadership or whatever.
Right.
I mean, like Tressel wasn't a big X's and O's guy. Not that he obviously did know the X's and O's, but my point with Stefanski is he was a young, up-and-coming coach who was this young offensive coordinator who was smart and really did a good job of looking at defenses, preparing game plans, the scripts, which we all know he's fantastic at. Mm-hmm. That was why he was brought here.
Which is why I would fire Ken Dorsey and go back to the offense, the Niners type of offense that they were trying to run for the last
I would like to
years.
see this, and I would give him this opportunity. I would say, Kevin, look, they might say that this is a quarterback class that ain't going to work or they ain't got the upside. What I want you to do, I want you to look through this class, and I want you to handpick somebody. You adopted Baker, right?
Yep.
Deshaun Watson, that was the move we
thrust on him.
That was on that. You got DTR and Jameis Winston. They go in this class and find me a guy that you can identify that wants to run what you want to run, and you can mold from this high.
What if he doesn't think any of them are any good?
Isn't that scary a little bit, though, too? Like, if Stefanski's, let's say he's got another year. Like, next year, because if he don't win next year, then
he's out.
He's out.
Yeah.
So the point in me saying that is, do you want him to handpick his quarterback, him be gone, and then the quarterback's like, well, the guy that wanted me, he's not even here.
It's never good when you have a rookie quarterback and a head coach on the hot seat. That's a
That's
bad
combination.
It never ends well.
You saw the Bears with that this year.
Well, who's to say it has to be a rookie quarterback? Justin Fields is a free agent, played halfway decent. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out.
Justin Fields really any good?
Dude,
just
if I'm
don't turn the
Justin
ball
Fields,
over.
I'm going right back to Pittsburgh. It's a great situation. Russell's not going to be there forever.
That's true.
Yeah.
Stay there.
That's true.
The roles, those two, actually work well together.
Hey,
good point.
That's kind of out.
Yeah,
Hey,
Be the next great Steelers quarterback.
Just find. You know what Kevin wants in a quarterback? Don't turn the ball over and don't be Deshaun where you won't throw it more than 3 yards down the field. Like, it's not a
Justin
high
Fields.
bar, huh?
That's not Justin Fields then.
All right, but I was just throwing out a name of a guy who's a veteran who's going to be available or could be.
I actually think Sam Darnold would be a great fit, but they can't afford him.
I think he'll probably be in the.
Saying that about Sam
he'll probably be in the 18 to 20 million range. I really don't think he's going to get more than that.
I don't know, man.
He's had a great year. He's had a great year. It's 1 year. It's 1 year.
I know, but
How do they not bring him back?
It's 1 year.
Yeah.
And he was a first-round pick.
JJ McCarthy.
I know
but
McCarthy's there,
I'm
but
like,
how do you?
If I'm Minnesota, I'd bring him back.
I'll pay both of them. I'm cool.
And you
Trade
know
for
what?
McCarthy?
If
You
eventually,
franchise Darnold,
yeah,
right?
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
That's
something.
2 in a row, Dustin.
I mean, how much are you
That's
paying him
2
on
in
a
row. I
franchise
like
tag?
that.
Way more than
lot.
18
Cares.
years.
That's a fortune.
$40 million.
But it's 1 year.
It's 1 year.
It's only 1 year. Go ahead, Mike.
Sorry.
I just wanted to ask one question about the defense, then we'll get to the guards and the college football playoff bracket. And this question is brought to you guys by Hillsdale College. Time is the most precious commodity, so don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it more wisely to improve yourself? Well, our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free online courses, including Constitution 101, the meaning and history of the Constitution, introduction of free market economics, and a brand new documentary-style course on Marxism, socialism, and communism. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost, and it's easy to get started. That is hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register, hillsdale.edu/lockedon. G and I talked about this on the post-game show. Dustin, I want to start with you. Considering George Pickens was out, is there any excuse, any reason, any any way to accept the fact the Browns gave up 27 points on defense to a Steelers team without George Pickens?
Is there any excuse? I mean, George Pickens isn't Jerry Rice.
Yeah, like-
I mean, what are we talking about right now?
The
He's a
rest
good
of their
player.
wide receivers are nothing, though.
No, I know, but Pickens is a good player, but
Yeah,
he's
not a
also a
superstar.
liability for that team.
He is. He's immature.
Yeah, I mean, they probably saved at least 2 penalties with him not playing.
That's
That is
fair.
fair.
How do
No,
you
that
say-
is fair.
I saved 215s from you,
That's
bro.
30 yards. I'm saying. No, but in all seriousness, I am I surprised? What was the question again? How'd you word it? Sorry.
I guess I was more disappointed in the defense, considering this is a group that I know has not played up to expectations this year, but
Well, they handed him 7 points on the interception on the screen. They started a drive at the 31-yard line.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was the final? 27-14.
27-14.
And you
I mean,
missed. And you missed. 3
okay,
field
see,
goals.
yeah.
Two
I mean,
field
the
goals.
point is, you take away it wasn't a pick six, but it was
No.
points off the turnover. I mean, they told him to 20 points. Like, that's winning football. Yeah, you gave some big plays. There were some busts. Like, it's not pretty, but you played well enough technically to win a game. In the
I just
NFL,
thought
if you hold a team to 20 points,
the
your
Steelers win the
offense
game.
should get 24 or more.
The Steelers only had 267 yards of offense.
Yeah.
I didn't.
They were out of
yeah.
rhythm. I mean,
Miles Garrett had one of his best games, I thought.
Well, Mike and I were on the phone. Mike said, who was more disappointing yesterday, offense or defense? I said, definitely the offense.
offense.
Yeah.
I totally
And Mike
agree.
was disagreeing,
I
but
thought it was
looks like
defense.
we're all in agreement. I don't know about you, Gene, but
there was a point, I texted you guys, I think, early in the first half or middle of the first half or whatever. CPOE, completion percentage over expected. It's what should the quarterback be doing based on coverages, schemes, and all
Yeah.
that. And both Jameis and Russ were minus 20% completion
Yeah.
compared to where they should be. I mean, that's dreadful quarterback play.
I think I always discount this a little bit because I just don't think that the Browns have a lot on defense. I just don't. When I watch the Browns, they have Myles Garrett. If I was game planning for the Browns, I wouldn't throw the ball to Denzel Ward, which the Steelers didn't. I would victimize Martin Emerson, and I would go after Greg Newsome. I would be like, all right, well, we got these 2 guys, and I would double team Myles Garrett. I just don't think that they have a lot of playmakers at other positions. I mean, Grant Delp is a good ball player. I think he's decent.
what's his name? Diabate's been playing really well. for
Yes.
them. Yeah.
He actually has, yeah.
He flashed a little bit.
He's made a name for himself this year.
But to me, I just think they don't have enough to really affect good teams where it's like, okay, we got to really pay attention to that. They don't have enough. So when you say is the defense playing bad,
yeah.
I'm not saying that I expect them to play bad, but I think that there's some holes on defense. Like Martin Emerson he's getting victimized. They're finding him with anybody. Like, they have to really think about his long-term viability because they're going after him like he's a linebacker, like it's a mismatch.
Yeah. I mean, Russell Wilson killed the Bengals last week, and I know the Bengals defense is worse than the Browns, but the Bengals have only given up a few more points than the Browns, and they played one less game until they played Dallas tonight, but still. So, like, Russell Wilson looked much better against the Bengals than he did against the Browns. I thought the defense was, was okay yesterday. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was good, but I thought the defense was I thought the defense was okay. I thought the offense was.
I thought the defense did enough in the game to
Yeah.
allow them a chance. Okay,
Right.
and that's all you can ask for. And
Yeah.
the offense didn't. Well, offense and special teams. The 2 missed field goals, the muff punt, and the interception. Well, 2 interceptions, but the screen one was so
Yeah.
bad. I mean, it's like you just can't win that way. What do you expect the defense to do?
I'll give Quincy. I was listening because after the game, I listened to everybody, what they had to think about the game, and I was listening to Quincy Carrier, and he said something that I thought was on point. He was like, if you got Jameis Winston at quarterback, you can't have no mistakes. You got to play airtight everywhere else because Jameis Winston gonna give you that. But you can't have special teams where your kicker is 50%, or you got penalties, or you got. If you look at, can you pull Russell Wilson's stats back up? And this I'll give Russ credit for this. Where in this game, when you look at his stat line right here, Russ knew early on. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just let Jameis lose this one. I'm gonna throw for 158. I'm gonna turn around and hand the ball off. No turnovers, 2 touchdowns. Move the ball. I thought that was a really nice RPO play where on the goal line where they faked it, the RPO, he rolled out, hit the guy in the end zone.
You think that dude gives a rip about those stats?
No.
He far from it. He would be fine throwing for 91 yards and getting the dub.
This is a management 101 course right here.
Totally.
I'm going to manage this. I'm going to show you how you can let other people lose games for themselves. Self-checked.
Yeah.
I'm just stay
James
clear.
said
Russell
that.
Wilson's in the Charles Woodson safety part of his career.
Right,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like he's moving on. He's smarter business decisions. Like he knows how to play the game within himself.
Jameis said after the game, the Steelers did not beat the Browns. The Cleveland Browns beat the Cleveland Browns.
He sure did. He said that.
And by the way, the
Yeah, go
Steelers
ahead.
could have beat the Browns if they needed to, but they
Yeah.
didn't have to.
Yeah.
They let the Browns just totally implode like they always do.
That's kind of why I was so disappointed in the defense. And you go back to Russ being the yesterday was a game manager, and sometimes it gets a bad connotation. Yesterday he did exactly what the Steelers had asked him to, and it's no shot against
Every
him. When you look at
every
the-
coach in America would love to have a great game manager.
No, it gets used as a bad thing.
It
Sometimes.
does.
I
I'm
think
with you.
It's not necessarily a bad
It
thing.
doesn't, because everybody always says it gets used as a bad thing. So if everybody's saying it's getting used as a bad thing, then it's not getting used as a bad thing. We're just used to saying that, and it's no longer true.
I don't think everyone says it's not always a bad thing.
Who says it is a bad thing? Idiot fans that don't know any better?
Well, if you're asking for specifics, Paul, I'll give you
Well,
your
PJ
usual answer. When I ask a question, I say people are saying. You say who's we? I can't.
Who are these people?
I'm sure there's a
in
person
in the
named
past,
John.
it's been like
Yes, in the past,
when
I
you
just don't
say
think-
game manager, you're saying
PJ Walker was a game manager, and that was a bad thing.
That was a bet.
PJ Walker is not
There
a
you
game
go.
manager.
Jason Lloyd
all you're
says it.
saying is when you say the guy's a game manager, he's an average quarterback.
Yeah.
Right?
Or he
Or
doesn't
even
have
below
the-
average.
Or below average
That you don't
quarterback.
trust to make
He
a
don't
play.
have the traits that that's going to get you to cause
I
you to
just
win
think
no
with a
games.
game manager, it means he can't carry the team by himself.
Yeah. I mean, but like,
I don't think it means he's bad. I just think, I don't know.
how many quarterbacks can carry the team all by themselves?
Not many.
Josh Allen.
All right, so,
Five.
Not even him,
so
though.
watch this. What if they told
Well,
you,
not by himself.
what if they told you were a host manager?
A what?
Host manager?
You can't carry the show by yourself.
That's bullshit. That's insulting.
That's insulting.
That's insulting.
So if that's, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see how it
By
goes
the way,
down?
speaking of Josh Allen, real quick, before we switch gears to the Guardians, the Bills yesterday became the first team in the history of the NFL or Josh Allen, I think became, I don't know if it was Josh Allen specifically or whatever. He had 3 touchdown passes and 3
rushing
touchdown runs, no turnovers, and he lost.
That's crazy.
All right,
That's never happened.
Hey, let me ask y'all a
Sean
question.
McDermott.
Right now,
Man.
right now,
Calling that timeout?
is this blasphemous?
What's that going?
Today, is Josh Allen better than Mahomes today?
Yeah.
Right now.
Today he is.
Today.
Today.
He's playing better football. You would still take Mahomes in a one game.
Josh Allen is limited by Sean McDermott.
Today, Jason Lloyd.
If Sean McDermott,
Is he better
if Andy
than
Reid
Mahomes?
coached Josh Allen, I'm not saying again. Mahomes is ridiculous. This may sound like I'm being negative towards Mahomes.
No, but you asked in the moment. In
But
the
in
moment,
today-
Josh Allen's playing better.
yeah, and I think
I'd still take Mahomes.
if you put Allen on the Chiefs right now,
Skill for skill
If
throw
Allen
right
and
today.
Mahomes had the exact same circumstances, players, coaches, all that stuff, I'd take Josh Allen.
yeah,
See, I still, fair or not,
he's a unicorn when it comes to his running ability, man.
I still have a fear of him turning the ball over at the wrong time.
But that was 1 year, Jason.
I said fair or
I've been
not.
saying that.
Hey.
Last
year, it was
he's always been a
uncharacteristic.
little higher on the turnovers,
Hey.
but he's more than made up for it.
They talked about him like he was Winston last year.
Who are you more concerned about turning the ball over at a big moment? Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes?
Same.
This year, Patrick Mahomes.
I was gonna say maybe Mahomes.
And,
We'll see.
And Josh
I
Allen
love Josh
is
Allen, by the way.
low-key durable, too. I mean, how many...
He's a horse.
He
never
does
gets hurt.
not get hurt. I'm
And
like...
he takes, unlike Lamar, who doesn't really take a lot of big hits.
He
takes
gives
hits
big
all the-
hits.
Yeah.
But he-
It's hard not to
Now,
give Josh
Yeah.
Allen.
now,
love
the
Josh
one thing
Allen.
I'll say is,
he
8
up
years
there.
from now, I think Mahomes is likely to be able to play longer than Josh Allen because no matter how big you are, those hits are going to catch up with you.
Josh
We
Allen
saw it with
balling
Cam
this
Newton.
year.
I know Josh Allen's better than Cam Newton, but
Yeah.
Cam Newton was pretty damn good when he was younger, and it caught up. All those hits he took caught up with him.
Man, I feel like it's Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Drake, you had a nice run. Patrick Mahomes had a nice run.
To me, this
Allen's got to win a title.
But I'm not going to say no. Listen, don't get me twisted. People going to try to kill me for this. They go like, G. Bush, you can't say that. What I'm saying is today, I feel like Patrick Mahomes is not playing as good as Josh Allen.
he's not right now in this
Today.
To me, there's 4 tier 1 quarterbacks. and that's Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Lamar. Those are the best of the best, and they could rotate from year to year who's playing better.
Yeah, and there's other guys that would get in there. Like
you look
Justin
at
Herbert has great
Burrow's having as good a year as any quarterback, but the Bengals suck, so nobody cares.
Yeah, fair.
You know, Tua sneaky has crazy numbers.
But he's not in that class.
I know.
But I think Tua is underrated because he got off to a bad start.
Yeah,
I really like Tua.
I like Tua
numbers
also.
since coming back.
It's crazy.
15 touchdowns, 1 pick.
Yeah.
He just seems like such a sweet guy.
He does,
I don't know, man.
But he's so injury prone that I'm worried about it
I
with
know.
his career. But
take
anyway, Mike, let's keep it moving.
Yeah, let's talk some guards, guys. We are just under 2,000 subscribers from 50K. If you guys haven't subscribed to the UCSS channel, do us a favor.
I believe less than 1% of YouTube channels have 50,000 subscribers. Definitely less than 2%. It might be less than 1%.
We're getting close, so if you're not a subscriber,
go.
tell your friends. It's a great gift to give on this holiday season because it's free. It helps us out. It helps you out. You get all the most up-to-date notifications, so hit that subscribe button. Do us a favor.
Do you
Helps out a lot
subscribe?
in the
Do you
back end.
subscribe for them as a gift? Like, do you go on their computer and be like, subscribe?
Yes.
That's
Got
true.
you a gift.
Yes.
Merry Christmas.
All right, guys. Shane Bieber
Just gonna let that
is
one go.
back
Yeah.
with the Guardians. He re-signed on a 1-year deal. According to reports, he turned down more lucrative offers elsewhere to return to Cleveland. Bull, what do you make of the move of Shane Bieber coming back? Same money, same ballpark as Matthew Boyd and some other guys.
I have mixed feelings about it. Jason and I were debating this a little bit in our chat group.
I seen that.
I have mixed feelings because if I knew the Guardians were going to spend more money, then I'd have zero problem with this. My problem with this signing for Shane Bieber is this is for the Guardians a lot of money because they're cheap and they don't spend. So I don't know how much Shane Bieber's going to be able to pitch. And frankly, I don't know that it's a guarantee he's going to pitch at all this year.
I was going to ask you that when he's coming back.
I get it. When guys come back from Tommy John surgery, eventually many of them are even better than they were. It happened. But it could take, like Walker Buehler, it took him like 2 years to get back. Shane Bieber, at best case scenario, he's back in July. That's best case scenario.
Yep.
Okay, and we have seen quite often, now Matthew Boyd was the exception. He did a good job. But we've seen many times that when a pitcher doesn't start pitching until the middle of the summer, he's way behind. He can struggle. We saw it with Gavin Williams last year. You've seen it with a ton of pitchers. Look at all these starting pitchers that have signed late. The guys who in recent years who have signed, at the end of spring training, April. A lot of times they have bad seasons. Why? Because they're out of rhythm. The rest of the league is up to speed, and they're just starting spring training.
Blake Snell kind of threw a little wrench in that last year, though.
There are always exceptions, sure. Blake Snell did have a good year, but look at Jared Montgomery. Was it Jared Montgomery? Why does that sound wrong to me?
No. Montgomery went to Arizona.
Yeah.
Jordan.
Not Jared. Jordan Montgomery, the year before, he was like the star of the World Series. Last year was awful.
I still don't think he's very good.
He is good. He's not as good as Blake Snell.
He's okay.
Okay. He's way better than he'd been last year.
I think he had one really, really good year. But go ahead.
Okay, but last year he couldn't even start. Now the owner's complaining they spent money on him. It's a disaster. And when you have limited resources, or when you choose to have limited resources, and you have holes, while spending a good chunk of what I think they're going to spend this offseason on a guy that, yes, when healthy, has for the most part been great, but I don't know when he's going to pitch all year. When you have, for the first time in a decade, more questions than answers in your starting rotation, not to mention holes in the lineup, I don't know how you justify spending that kind of money on a pitcher that, best case scenario, you're getting 2 months from.
Because they don't care about those 2 months, they care about the third month. Now, you have to get there. You have to get to October. But if you get to October, it's a risk. They're all a risk. All free agent signings are a risk. But if you get to October, you just bought an ace for half the price of what most aces are
I don't
going
know that
for.
he'll be an ace.
You're right, July is a best case scenario.
Yeah.
Realistically, it's August. More and more, if you look at the history of these April Tommy John guys, they're not coming back until August. Teams are pushing in an effort to try and get their best self back when they do come back. And it is a little bit rocky that first year back. That's why you're getting him for $14 million, because a healthy Shane Bieber is getting double that or more on the open market. So you're taking a risk that you would rather have Shane Bieber for October on $14 million rather than Matthew Boyd. I'd rather have Shane Bieber than Matthew Boyd for $14 million. I can tell you that. I'd rather have Shane Bieber than Frankie Montas for the same money. Like, for the money, because we talked about this before. I said it's insane what Matthew Boyd got. There's no way I would pay that. It's insane what Montas got. You said that's
not insane. That's
but
just,
it is. They're not good. They're not good.
They are what they are, but that's what the market is, Jason.
But that doesn't mean that you buy into the market inefficiency. It means that you do what they do. Now, I'm not saying they don't spend, but I would spend on a bat and not overpay for a mediocre pitcher when there's guys every year that fall through the cracks that you can get, which they did with Matthew Boyd, which they did with Alex Cobb. There's going to be another guy that falls through the cracks. I don't know who it is right now, but I'll tell you in February or March,
get
it's
lucky
going to be
like that every year.
They do.
That's not every year.
Almost every year, they nailed it with Ben Lively. Like, for whatever reason, they've got the secret sauce on how to do this. I'm not going to pay $15 million for a mediocre pitcher.
But who's saying they should? This is not a... I'm not saying,
But
they should have signed Boyd over Bieber.
But they just bought an ace for $14 million.
I just don't buy... First of all, he hadn't been quite as good in his last couple of years when he was healthy.
I'm not sure he was healthy.
Okay, well then he hasn't been an ace for a few years at this point.
But he looked pretty doggone good this year.
But it was 2 starts.
And he was hurt. And he still looked... Yes, it was only 2 starts. But we came through those 2 starts going, oh my God, Shane Bieber looks like he's back.
I'm just saying that... now, if they go and spend $15 million on another player, okay, I don't mind this move. But... And it doesn't have to be a pitcher. If this is the only big allocation of money that they have this offseason, then I think they spent it in the wrong way.
I do think that they need another pitcher. Because, again, Shane's not going to pitch till August. I do think they need another starter. I did a radio hit with Earl, and I said, like, I really like Jeffrey Springs. I think he's a guy, Tampa's probably going to move him. He's making $10 million. That's a lot of money to them. And the Guardians, obviously these teams match up well, and the Guardians have the prospect capital to go get something like that done. And he's a guy who's now a year removed from Tommy John. So this should be the year when you can take the guardrails off and let him go.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's the type of move I'd love to see.
The question to you guys is, are they going to spend more money? You keep saying if.
Not a lot, no.
So
they're not. But what did Bieber make last year? What was he making last year in arbitration? I should look this up.
Probably somewhere.
Probably right around where he is.
Maybe a little more.
So they haven't really added anything.
No.
Like they've just
ran it back.
No, their payroll's even lower right now because
he made 13.5 last year.
All right, so he's basically getting exactly what he got.
Okay, yeah, but they still had what's his name who never played for them on the who they were paying $10 million to.
Yeah,
the infielder,
the journeyman infielder. I can't even think of his name.
What? Gene Segura.
Was this Gene Segura?
Gene Segura. Like they were still paying
Look at me
him.
pulling that out of my.
He's out, but you know,
Proud of myself.
Jimenez's contract is going up this year. They're still wasting money on Miles Straw.
Yep.
I mean, so you're paying Hedges the same amount of money again. Naylor and Lane Thomas are going to get raises if they're here in arbitration. So I don't know if they're going to spend any more money.
I don't know.
All I'm saying is, if you only had $15 million to spend,
they're not going to spend significantly more than what they were last
so
year.
they've spent in free agency, right? They're paying. What is Bieber getting this year? 14.
14.
14, correct.
Okay, so they've spent $19 million between Bieber and Hedges.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, and I understand what Hedges means to. If a team's only going to spend $19 million and they get a pitcher who, yes, when he's been healthy, he's been very good, but it's been a while. Who I don't know what he's going to be at all this year because I don't know when he's going to pitch.
And if they don't get to October, then it's a moot point,
right?
Because that's what you're buying. You're
right.
Not
Then
buying
they wasted it, and if they were going to sign him for that, like I don't. By the way, I don't really buy this. There were other teams offering him more money.
I believe that. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe more total money, not per year. Maybe they offered him like a 3-year, $30 million thing or whatever.
More. I mean, in this deal, he holds the player option,
right?
And a lot of times,
which are the Guardians, you shouldn't. I mean, I don't know why they let that happen.
Because that was the only way to get him back, more than likely. Because I do think he did have better offers. He's been. It's no secret. Everyone thought he was going to the West Coast. Angels and Dodgers have been the two teams that everyone, especially the Angels, because they're so desperate for pitching.
Yeah.
Everybody thought Shane would, because he wants to go back where he's from.
Right.
And so, in order to get this done, you had to give him and he gets a $4 million buyout in year 2. But that was the only way to get this done, because I do think the Angels or another team, mystery team, whatever, would have offered him more in the second year Because that's really
Yeah.
what you're buying. This is sort of a wash year,
Right.
and then you're buying him his services for next year, whereas the Guardians are going all in saying, we have a team that can make it to October,
Yeah.
and when we get to October, we're going to have this guy to lead
It's
the
not
staff.
gonna, you know, I know that, listen, they
It's
had
a risk.
They had a great year this past year, and but the division's as good as it's ever
Yes,
been.
it is.
And I don't think they're guaranteed to make the playoffs.
Of course not.
I love this team. I think they have a chance, but it's this is not basketball where everybody makes
No,
the playoffs.
nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that they think that they're going to have a competitive battle for the playoffs too, because what you're telling me is they're not going all in.
No, they never go all
they
in.
are
That's the
not-
unfortunate thing.
Like, you know, which is kind of
They're not interested in having a competitive payroll.
But it's disheartening a little bit because you just went to the
I know.
ALCS.
And the team you lost to just lost their best player.
Right. So, like, I feel like, oh, it's blood in the water a little
Yeah.
bit. Like, if you could sign a bat, give me another pitcher. Or, here's the thing, either or. If you're going to sell it to me that, guess what, we ain't got no money. That's cool. That's fine. All right.
Lie, but all right.
All right. I'll take you on that face value. I need to see all these ball players, though. I don't want no 6-year plans for these dudes. Like, people telling me Bazana is going to come up in 3 years.
No, not 3 years.
Nobody's saying that.
Listen, last year it was 1 year. I'm counting last year's one.
Yeah.
Will I see him this year?
He just drafted him in June.
I want
Jason,
to see him.
To be fair, we are seeing
These other dudes
the
is playing.
college top 10 picks are coming up the second year.
Absolutely. I think
he
he'll
should
be
be
here
in the
this
majors
year.
this year.
Yes, I think he will be.
He won't be to start the season,
But I
probably.
thought the same for Banzardo. They slow walked him.
They did.
They slow walked
That was
And he
Banzardo.
struggled. And he struggled.
But at some point, I don't think these guys are going to melt.
Well, but these guys, these teams know usually when their guys are ready. We can look at it and say, hey, he's been here this long. He should be ready to go. That doesn't mean that they are. We all thought Manzardo was ready to go. He got up here and he didn't hit. And he went back down and then he came back up and then he was ready.
Like, I don't have a problem. Like, you got Bobby and Williams, right? Williams struggled last year.
He was hurt.
I get it. But at least he was contributing. At least I get to see, like, okay,
Well, Manzardo will be here to start the season, obviously, next year.
Yes.
Opening day first
Bazana, if he plays well, will be on the team by May or June.
Yep.
So
where's DeLauder? We've been hearing
he had another injury at the end of last year, so I'm not sure.
Yep.
Man,
He should be up
He
this year.
should
but
be
he's
up here to
gotta
start
stay
the
healthy.
season. If he's healthy, he might be. I don't know.
We've been. Who's this?
It's frustrating. I get it. The Guardians,
Valera. We heard about Valera.
they cut him, but they brought him back
him back.
on a.
How did he get cut?
They
They
took
had
him
to
off
create
the
roster
They
spots.
took him off the 40-man.
See,
But he's
that's
back.
what I'm saying, Dustin.
Didn't even know.
I didn't even
But
know.
he's not back on the 40-man,
We've been
though.
talking about him for
Yeah,
5, 6
I know.
years.
Yeah.
And
That's fair.
He's
Because
another guy who can't stay healthy.
The
He's had a
Guardians
ton of
have done a
injuries.
bad job. We have fully complimented their front office a million times, deservedly so. They have been scared to make trades in recent years, and they have had this glut of good talent. A lot of it has lost its trade value because they did nothing with it, and they have done a bad job of trading away some of that glut before they were desperate to trade it away and turning it into major league talent. They have not been able to do that, and they've done a bad job the last couple of years. And again, I'm looking for them to do it this offseason.
It confuses
and
me.
so far they haven't, but there's a long way to
It
go.
confuses. I don't like if you're not going to use them and you have to lose them because
Right.
the
That's
clock
why
is
they
ticking.
traded Will Benson and Nolan
Right.
Jones for nothing. Now, both of those guys regressed last year, and neither had a good year.
Yeah.
Nolan Jones was hurt for a lot of the season, but still, like they got put in a spot where they didn't feel like those guys were fit their roster, and they had to trade them essentially for nothing, or they were going to lose them.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are the Guardians not willing to do things like, hey, we got some of this young talent, let's trade, and maybe the guy we bring in has a big contract, but it's only a couple of years left on it. Are they willing to do stuff like that?
I think they've been gun shy about that, Jason. I don't know how you feel, but
I mean, they pursued Matt Olson. They pursued the
Sean Murphy.
thank you, the catcher. Yeah, Sean Murphy. So they went after some guys a couple years ago. I think part of the problem is they were asking for Espino and Bybee in a lot of these deals and in those big name deals, and they didn't want to trade those guys.
Well, it turns out they should have traded Espino.
Well, but it's impossible to know that. What if they traded Bybee and kept Espino?
I hear you. Then it would have been a disaster.
Right.
So it's just, and they could never decide between Arias and Rocchio for shortstop, and so they kept them
And
both.
now Arias has zero value.
Arias has zero value.
And Rocchio, even though he played well in the playoffs, has almost zero value. Let's be
I don't
honest.
think I think he has more than zero, but certainly
He's not
it's
a
not what
key
it was.
piece in a trade.
It's not what it was.
Because they
years ago.
drafted a second baseman. They got like 35 of them.
Yeah,
Like,
they got a lot of these middle infield types, and none of them are like all these guys that we thought would be really good. So far, none of them have been really good. That being said, they won a ton of games. They still have a lot of the players back.
Listen.
They should be in the mix this year, but they need to do more. All right, we'll talk about Juan Soto in overtime. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, let's get to a little college football here. Dustin, did Ohio State
Help me wake up here.
get an appropriate, or let's just say this, did Ohio State get a fair or unfair draw in the college football playoff bracket?
Shoot, they're lucky to be in this thing.
Heck yeah.
Kidding me? Lucky to be in this thing.
Are there any Ohio State fans whining about their spot?
Oh, they whine about everything.
Oh, my God.
They're mad that they have to play Oregon in the second round if they beat Tennessee in the first round.
Oh, come on.
Everybody knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
What? You can beat Oregon.
Oregon ain't that
They
cold.
should have beat Oregon
They should
the
have beat
first
them
time.
at their place. Now you're going
Yes.
to play them at the Rose Bowl.
Yes.
Like,
This thing
let's
wa-
worry about beating the Volunteers.
Right.
Okay? Because that's a damn good football team. A team I thought prior to the season beginning. I did their spring game, in fact. I fell in love with their roster. Their quarterback's great. Young, but a good player. So do they have a bad draw? I don't know. I mean,
Everybody on that board is beatable.
I'll tell you one thing right now. I'd rather if I'm Ohio State, I'd rather play Oregon than Georgia.
But
At
you'd
this
rather
point-
play Penn State or Arizona State, right?
Say what now?
You'd rather play Penn State or Arizona State than Oregon.
Or Boise
Yeah, of
State.
course. But I'm saying like I'd
Yeah.
rather like to get to the semis, you're gonna have to
Yeah.
get through a good team.
That's true. By the way, I thought this was a very funny line. I don't know who put it out there, but they said if the bronze medal were a football team, it would be Penn State.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
accurate.
Yeah. I mean, just
They got a great draw. I thought
By
Penn
the
State
way,
got a good
Beautiful
draw.
draw.
This I didn't realize this. I guess I should have been more up on this. The fact that the the top four conference finishers get an automatic top four seed is so dumb.
it is silly that like Boise State's gonna.
It should
get a
guarantee
bye.
you a spot in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It shouldn't guarantee you a top four seed. That makes no sense. Mike, if you put up the bracket again, can you put it up again?
Yeah, 1 sec.
Boys, they feeling good about themselves.
Yeah.
Well, not just Boise State, also
Arizona.
Clemson.
Arizona State.
State.
Well,
Not
I'm
Clemson.
sorry, not Clemson. Arizona State. Yeah, like that's ridiculous.
I mean, if you,
It's so if you're Oregon, or if you're Oregon, you have to play either Ohio State or Tennessee in the next round. I don't know. It's
a bad draw.
Meanwhile, Texas gets to play Clemson and then Arizona State.
What four teams should have the bye, Dustin?
The four teams that should have the bye, man, that's a
Shouldn't it be Texas?
obviously Oregon.
Yes.
They're unblemished.
Right. Definitely
And-
Georgia.
And Georgia. Georgia won the SEC.
Georgia
Shouldn't
won
Texas-
the SEC. I mean, well, Texas was runner-up in the SEC, 2 losses. Ohio State, 2 losses. Didn't go to the title game. I mean, I don't know who else does. I mean, I don't think Boise should have a bye.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think that they're
I can't make an argument for another team, but I don't like Boise getting a bye either.
I was shocked, guys, that SMU got in over Alabama.
I
I was too. I was also very happy to see
It's
it.
the right
I
call.
did too. I did too.
Because it's the right
Yes.
call.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude, Adam, SMU has 2 losses. They went to the conference title. They lost
Right.
the conference title to another team that's in the playoffs.
In the playoffs.
And you're
But he's
talking.
not that great either.
Look,
And they lost what, one game?
they lost 1 game.
But here's the catch-22.
Well, Clemson has 2 losses.
It's tough either way, right? Because if you would have booted out SMU, you're penalizing them for making their championship game, which is unfair.
Here's all I'm going to say
but
about
Alabama
this.
played a much tougher schedule than SMU, didn't they?
First off, Alabama lost to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Done.
Fair.
And they got
And they got
smoked
their
by-
doors blown up by Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear
Trash.
crap about Alabama. They have 3 losses.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with
See
you
ya.
100%.
Yeah,
Enjoy the ReliaQuest Bowl.
There it is.
They're relying Quest Bowl.
By the way, good matchup, Michigan and Alabama.
And that is our UCSS college football analyst, Dustin Fox, with his
But,
hot takes of the week. Brought to you by Red Hot.
Why is Indiana
Yeah, Frank's right.
whining about not having a home game? They haven't beaten
Kurt Signetti
right?
whines about everything.
Is Indiana have the worst strength of schedule or the worst strength of victory of any team in this tournament? Or no?
I'm sure Boise State probably has a worse just based off the conference.
As
I don't know
Boise,
for a fact.
but Boise State finished what? 11-1, 12-1.
Yeah, their only loss was Oregon.
So Indiana's 12-1. Who's Boise State's best win?
I'm pulling up the schedule right now.
UNLV? No, well, they lost to Oregon by 3 points on the road week 1.
That was
Remember
kinda
that.
wild.
Yeah.
So their loss is to Oregon.
The top, yeah.
Right
You're
now,
right.
Indiana's only losses to Ohio State, but they didn't play.
But they got smoked twice.
They got smoked in that game.
UNLV is the only
Indiana's
other
not a
ranked
conference
team.
title. It doesn't have a conference title. Sorry.
What's that, Mike?
UNLV in the Mountain West
That was the
Conference
best.
Championship was the only other ranked one they had this.
So who did Indiana? Has Indiana beaten any ranked teams?
Let me pull it up.
They didn't
I
play
can't remember
Penn
who was
State.
ranked when they played them.
What's Indiana's best win?
Michigan.
Yeah, I mean,
Michigan sucks.
Indiana
beat
beat
Ohio
this
State.
season.
they didn't play Penn
Indiana
State, did
beat
they?
who?
No, they did not.
Indiana's season, real quick. They beat Florida International. They beat Western Illinois. They beat UCLA at UCLA. They beat Charlotte. They beat Maryland. They beat Northwestern. They beat Nebraska. They beat Washington. They beat Michigan State at Michigan State. They beat Michigan. They lost to Ohio State, and they beat Purdue 66-0.
Are any of those teams they beat better than UNLV, Dustin?
Oh, that's a good question. UNLV's a good team. Like Michigan's going to beat UNLV if they play.
They just lost their coach, didn't they?
UNLV,
Yeah.
they
So
did,
you
I
think
believe
Michigan's
so.
better than UNLV?
Michigan's better than a lot of teams, dude.
How are they 7-6?
So they can't score points. But I mean, like on any given Sunday or Saturday,
Yeah.
when you play against Michigan, like that's going to be a really tough game.
What was the Indiana killed Michigan, didn't they?
No, they won by 5, 20-15.
Here's the way I look at it. If you're a top flight team and you upset that one of the mid majors got like a bye, go smoke them.
Well,
Indiana's mad. They have to go to Notre Dame. They didn't think they were going to get a bye. They wanted a home game. They're upset they didn't get a home game.
right,
Now-
they were pissed they weren't 5-8. But
listen,
who should they be over?
Bro, you're in the dance, bro.
Who should they be ahead of? Should they be ahead of Ohio State?
No,
I
they
don't
lost to
think
them.
so, but
You lost to
that's
Ohio
the
State.
committee,
I
yeah.
mean, you know what
Hey,
should they be ahead of Notre Dame?
Kirk Cignetti said, and he's the Indiana coach, he goes, our loss was on the road at Ohio State.
And they're going to
They got
compare the
smoked.
NIU
Notre
loss,
Dame's, Notre
at
Dame's
home.
only loss was at home to Northern Illinois.
Is Northern Illinois really bad?
They're an okay MAC
They're
team,
good
dude.
MAC
They're
team.
not. They're a MAC team.
Who's Northern? Who? You can't. But when you get smoked, if you're Indiana, I don't care if it's a better loss. You got smoked. If they had lost the tight battle to Ohio State, then I think that argument carries
you
more
can't.
water.
If you didn't win your conference, you can't complain about not getting
Right.
no home game.
And who-
you didn't win your conference, though.
Who's Notre Dame's best win against?
They beat A&M at A&M. They beat Louisville, who was ranked 15th. They beat Navy. They beat Army. They beat USC. They
Army
play,
won the.
They play an
yeah.
ACC
They won the American-
schedule
yeah.
plus
Yeah.
USC and
So
Texas A&M.
they have better wins than Indiana.
Notre Dame's a damn good team. They deserve a home game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They have 4
Indiana
ranked
deserve a
wins.
home game.
And
They
I
do
don't-
not deserve a home
Screw
game.
Indiana.
And I don't like the coach saying you should got a whole. His mind should be on. We better get our ass together
That's
and
true.
get ready to go to Notre Dame
Like
and play.
the coach whining now is like bad.
You can't.
Because now the players they're thinking, oh, we got robbed and blah blah blah.
And you don't want to have that. We just happy to be here.
What are the spreads on the first round games? By the way,
Which game you want to know?
all of them. I'm curious.
Ohio State's favored by 7.5. Penn State's favored by 8.5. What's the other game? Clemson.
Indiana, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame 7.5.
Yeah.
And then what's the other one? Clemson.
Clemson and Texas.
Clemson, Texas.
Clemson-
Texas be favored.
Texas is favored by I think 11.
11.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got
All
it
right.
right here, yeah. 11.
So Texas is the most or Clemson is probably the least likely to win, right, in the first round. Of the other 3 games, Indiana at Notre Dame, Tennessee at Ohio State, and what's the other one?
SMU, Penn State.
SMU at Penn State. Who's-
SMU has no chance, I don't think.
no chance.
Well,
Wow.
okay, I shouldn't say no chance.
a
Who is the most likely for
Who's
an
most
upset?
likely to pull an upset?
Tennessee.
Tennessee, you think?
I think it's Tennessee.
Yeah.
Well, Indiana could upset
Indiana's
Notre
good,
Dame.
though. Indiana's good.
Yeah, but I think
Hey,
Are they?
Yeah,
They
they're-
are good.
They
They
are
are
good.
good.
what
yes.
is where is Ohio State's players' heads right now?
Great question. Great question.
That's why I think it's
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Their backup quarterback's leaving, right?
Yeah, entering the portal after the.
There's just been so much turmoil since the Michigan game ended
They got-
that I don't know where the focus is
That's
at
right.
for those guys.
That's
And for
exactly right.
Tennessee,
Yeah.
they've been thinking about this for the whole time. They once they knew they weren't going to the SEC championship, they're like, okay, well, it's on to the
this
playoffs.
is-
Tennessee could easily come into Ohio State and
this
win
is
that
a
game.
very.
The playoffs should be good, right? I mean, it
This
should
is
be
a
good competitive
very
games.
nice game. I like seeing these non-traditional matchups, Ohio State, Tennessee, like
could be in the snow.
first round playoff
You
games.
think
like
you think
this.
Ashton Genty's good? Wait till you see Dylan Sampson.
Yeah.
For Tennessee.
Yeah.
He's
Wait,
the
he's
best
better?
running back in America no one talks about. Well, people do talk about if you watch Tennessee,
nice.
but
Tennessee really
they're nice, man. Their quarterback
Nice.
is
Nico's
a
legit.
slim reaper, dude.
Legit.
And then they got that wide spread. They got their
I hate that offense.
They got their receivers lined up in the stands. You talk about having a lot of space and movement. They get you in the middle of the field. Run that
Heupel.
little, yeah.
When you
that-
talk about Ohio State seeding, though, should they be where Penn State is because they beat them head to head? I know they got an extra loss, but they beat Penn State.
I don't think so. Penn State made the conference championship.
Yeah,
they
it's
played
I
well.
agree, but I think you can make a case that we beat them head to head. Why are we
Yeah.
below that?
I think Penn State gonna lose.
To SMU.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I think they lose.
You think Penn State loses to SMU?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I'm sorry.
They played good against Oregon.
That Clemson game hurt. That
That's
hurt
like the
SMU.
first time I really watched a lot of SMU,
Right.
and I'm like, yeah, this team may not
Like,
do well against
they-
Penn State. Penn State's a really good team,
At home.
especially in a game like this.
At
Penn
home.
State will win this game by 30. I'm not saying they'll win by 30,
Then
but this is
they'll
a game
get
they
smoked.
should win by 30.
By the way, McNuggets is talking himself into drafting Aller, right?
Drew Aller,
Yeah.
I'm rooting for Boise State in the tournament. I hope they win it all.
He's from here too, by the way.
Go ahead,
know
Mike.
he's
Medina, dude.
We got a bunch of super chats, so
Yeah.
let's get through them. Charles T says, "Why do people keep saying we need to see DTR like we haven't seen him before? He's an injury-prone backup. We've seen him. He's not good."
You know, I agree. I don't think he's any good, but what's the harm? We'll talk more about it later in the week.
You know
But
what you have in
Stefanski
Jameis. You
said-
know what he is.
we are too quick, and I'll put everybody, and I didn't think I was, but I am too. I'll put myself in the category also. We too quickly say guys are good or bad.
Yeah.
We too quickly say
Which
that.
Kevin already came
and
out
we don't
and said-
factor in the
Yeah,
circumstances.
Stefanski said Jameis is still the quarterback this week.
And I
we'll
hate that.
discuss whether or
I
not
hate
that's
that.
the right decision
Play
tomorrow.
DTR against the
You can
Chiefs. What do
change
you
by
got to lose?
tomorrow.
You know who loves
What do you
it?
got to lose?
Jerry Jeudy.
DTR?
Jerry Judy's like, hey, I get the ball. I look like a
Yeah.
professional now. I want a professional.
Oh,
ball.
Jameis? You
Yes.
mean Jameis? Oh.
He's
I think that's the only reason they continue to play him is because he lets the receivers get a look.
So if he plays well, if you start Dorian against Cincinnati, and he plays mildly decent through the last 3 games, all you're doing is screwing yourself up at that point because you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe there's something there, maybe there's
It kinda
That's
is.
why they should have played him earlier.
Kind of
you got 4 games. You can still play him.
And if he plays well, then what? Then we're going to spend the whole offseason going, oh, I don't know,
Jason,
Dorian looked good, maybe
the
Dorian's
reality
answer.
is they're not seriously considering him as a long-term starter. Right?
No, but you wouldn't consider him being on your roster, and
That's
and,
fair.
and I do think that 4 games is a decent sample size,
Especially
where
against good teams.
I actually agree with Jason in this take because you can easily go to Jameis Winston and say, "Dude, you get it, man. Like
Right.
we know what you can do, man. You're a great quarterback. We know we can win with you." But we just got to see what this kid can do.
That's right. And
Throw him in against the Chiefs.
season's
See how
over.
he handles the
the
pressure.
season's over. They've officially been eliminated.
See how he
from the
handles
playoffs.
their blitz.
Yeah.
More on this later in the
Yeah,
week.
we'll
Go ahead.
discuss whether that's the right decision or not tomorrow. Charles T also says a good quarterback or a good backup quarterback looks better to good when called on without a week of specific game playing. So let's stop using that excuse for DTR.
I mean, he didn't even know if he was playing. Period, though. Like that's kind of rough. Like he didn't like. It was just like, yeah, you're playing,
I mean, he was a rookie last year.
and he was a rookie against the
Yeah,
Ravens.
come
like,
on.
That's kind of wild.
One more from Charles T. He says, rather than DTR, how about using the rest of the season to try and fix Jameis's interception issues or find out if this can be
You ain't fixed
controlled
him in
or
9
game
years, you
plan
ain't
for
fixed
next
him in a
year.
month.
I've been saying for weeks, this is who he is. You know, J and G were trying to manipulate the stats with that 1 year in New Orleans that he didn't turn the ball over. Well, since this year, blah, 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 blah.
Hey, that was
He is
more.
who he is.
That
What
was
he
more
is.
of Jay's gymnastics. I just co-signed
The
it.
Browns is the Browns, and Jameis is Jameis.
Like I was broken. The
Next up's
the
Ray
defensive
Smith
tackle hurt
with
me.
the super chat I never thought we'd get.
Yeah.
Bring back Cade York.
Oh, stop.
Man.
Watch him miss a field goal tonight for the Bengals.
Ray Smith
I'd rather have
also
Zane
says,
Gonzalez.
he also says Browns fans can't have it both ways. First, we say let's tank. Then when we lose, we cry and we want to get rid of the team.
Who's saying get rid of the team?
What does that even mean, get rid of the team?
There is no get rid of the team.
What do you mean, get rid of the team?
I just talk about Browns fan. I'll read it again.
I
Smith.
understood what you read, but it doesn't make any sense.
Browns fans, you can't have it both ways. First, we say let's tank. Then, when we lose, you can't cry and want to get rid of the
Why?
team.
They
when
weren't
lose.
tanking. No team tanking. When people bring up tanking,
Tanking.
all it means is the organization's first priority is not winning. The Browns weren't tanking.
Like, if you put, trust me, Jameis Winston is not going out there thinking about giving his job away.
They don't want to lose games on. Nobody
Like,
loses
no
games on
one
purpose.
does, not in the NFL. It's too hard. And you can tank if you got a 5-year max deal in basketball, but that don't
Players
exist.
don't care about draft picks. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Players,
Yes.
no.
At all.
I heard some idiot sports talk host, I don't know who he was, saying, "Well, if you wanna make this NBA in-season tournament mean more, let the team that wins it get the first pick in the draft." Why would that motivate players?
At all. It's
Well,
like-
that might. That
it
might. The
won't.
number one pick.
I mean,
Players don't give a shit, Jason.
I talk to Tyvus and Dustin all the time.
Star players, okay, you say draft picks don't matter. It doesn't matter to guys like me.
Yeah,
But they matter to guys like Tom Brady.
Yes,
You know what I
okay.
mean? Like Tom Brady's like, okay, we got a first round.
Dustin
We
is
better
a
hit on
receiver.
this receiver.
Go get a
Dustin
receiver.
is not
Yes.
loafing down
But-
the field so somebody else can
But
come
are
get his spot.
NBA players going to play harder for the first pick?
I
in
had
the
a
draft?
conversation with Kevin Love about that when Zion was coming out. About it's in the ether. They're not dwelling on it, but they're aware of.
And look at how much a waste Zion's been.
But I'm just saying, there's
I
a
know.
lot of players who are franchise
All right.
changers.
That's true.
Wembanyama,
That's true.
Yeah.
Victor
But those are
Wembanyama.
rare exceptions.
Most drafts have one or two guys that are maybe not to that extreme.
Yeah.
But you would look at as franchise. Everybody knew Zion's weight was going to be an issue.
Yeah.
That's not a secret. Even at Duke, that was a thing.
All right, Mike.
Injuries and weight.
All right, 3 more. William
Yep.
Slater says Winston's stats are comparable to Brett Favre's. Favre threw a ton of interceptions. The only difference is his team won a Super Bowl. Keyword team.
Also, team wins too, and that's a big part of it.
Listen. I like flat. Listen,
Just stop it. The game was different then. Defense.
listen. Brett Favre.
Everybody threw more picks in those days.
I don't like that, man. Brett
terrible
Favre is not
comparison.
on the same level as Jameis Winston. Y'all gotta stop that. You can't
What, you mean Jameis is not on the same level as Brett Favre?
I'm saying
right.
it's not. It's complete whole levels.
That's just silly.
Like that.
That's somebody just looking at statistics
No.
and not having any.
I-
First of all, the
Come on.
game in those days, I know Brett Favre wasn't that long ago,
on.
but when Brett Favre was in his prime, there were
was
way
cooking.
more interceptions. Everybody, look at you look at the statistics of Terry Bradshaw, Joe Namath, Hall of Fame quarterbacks, you'd be like, these guys suck.
Brett Favre was throwing balls through walls and this Brett Favre.
That's like the Colin Sexton comp when he was here. I forget now what it was, but people were trying to go back and saying, "Oh, he was as good as." It's like, guys, it's 30 years ago.
Oh, actually, be truthful, there was because Kyrie had just left. And
Oh, they
it
were
was
saying he was as good as Kyrie?
Look at the numbers, 25 a game.
Oh, my God.
No, it was
Kyrie.
Colin against an old school player. I forget how it was. I'd have to go back and find it. Drove
Joe
me crazy.
Dumars.
Oh, that wasn't it. I don't remember.
Vinny the Microwave Johnson.
No.
Go ahead.
Isaiah
Last
Thomas.
one is from Jeff's Bookshelf. Oh, no, we have 2 more. Sorry. Smallville is up first. Smallville said the second interception was on Elijah Moore. Winston put the ball in a position so that the receiver could catch it and run. Bull, that's called throwing the receiver open.
No, that's Sean King's burner account right there.
Oh, what's Sean King going to do this week? Is he going to defend?
Yes.
Jameis? Okay.
When's
When's he on? Is he on tomorrow? Wednesday?
When is he on, Mike? Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Sweet, I'll be here.
You look that. I'm telling you, that's why I point out the defensive tackle on the screen play. That hurt my heart, bro.
And by the way,
I can deal with the other
if
one.
you're going to make the excuse that it's the receiver's fault, then the 10 other passes he's thrown since becoming the starter that should have been interceptions, then we can count those as interceptions, I guess. Like if the D-back just drops the ball.
Kyle
that's-
Hamilton one that counts
exactly.
as an interception now.
That 100% should have been an interception, but he dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't. So that's silly.
Hamilton makes that play. The narrative on Winston is totally different.
Yeah.
And that's how dumb we are.
That's right.
No,
Seriously, that's how
Yeah.
dumb we are.
I think we're just desperate. Like we squinting
Okay.
real hard, like this.
Yes.
She's
Desperation
right.
makes you.
I'm just hoping.
I said it before.
With all your heart.
At 10, she's a 2. At 2, she's a 10.
Yep, 145. Last call for alcohol. Tip your bartender.
All right, Mike.
Last one
When I
comes
get
from
in.
Jeff's Bookshelf.
No overtime today, right?
Or
Or
he's going
yes?
to get overtime.
Are we doing overtime?
Well, let's see how
Why don't
long
we
this
just
one
keep
goes.
going? Give people a free overtime today.
All right, we'll just keep
Let's
going
do
then.
Executive decision.
Jeff Bookshelf says How about Will Howard in the 3rd or 4th round as the future quarterback of the Browns?
That's a hard pass for me, but I don't know enough.
I keep telling y'all, the Will Howard, they love them some Will Howard in here. They love him.
If Will Howard was back at Kansas State, would anyone in Ohio know he exists?
No. It's the Will Howard effect.
Is he an NFL quarterback, Dustin?
I have no idea. No idea. I mean, like, I don't even know. I mean, he was good at Kansas State. He was good at times for Ohio State this year. I think it's hard to tell what quarterbacks are good, especially with the portal. Like when guys go from school to school to school, you just don't know. Like I didn't think Bo Nix was going to be this good.
I'm with you. Outside of Sean Payton.
Yeah, I didn't like Bo Nix.
I mean, and I watch Bo Nix play, and then I hear him talk, and I'm like, golly, if any team interviewed this kid, they're probably like, this guy's going to be a star.
I didn't like Bo Nix.
Well, great leadership. He's a great player.
A little better. I mean, he did play 12 years.
And with Ohio State in particular, and this I think was a little bit with C.J. Stroud. He still won 2. But they've had such great receivers that you're like, well, how good's the quarterback? I mean,
and the receivers this year are great. They've had the best receivers in the country the last 6 years.
This is the great thing about the NFL draft. There's going to be somebody that we had no clue about. That's going to be good.
That's true.
One of those quarterbacks is going to be good, and you're going to be like, damn it.
By the way, if you took a team of all wide receivers from just LSU and Ohio State, and then let the other team take wide receivers from every other college, the LSU Ohio State team would be better.
Facts.
Facts.
Like,
not even close.
Versus every other college.
You can win championships with those players.
Oh my God! Think about
in
what
the
you
NFL.
Have. In fact, you'd have to cut somebody great because you'd have too many receivers.
Like Marvin Harrison might not be on the roster. Odell Beckham Jr. not on the roster.
Oh, Odell no shot of making the roster.
No, zero. No, it's out of Jarvis. Not all them. Yeah,
I mean, you got.
It'd be like, I'm sorry, Terry McLaurin. You're really good, but we got to move you to corner.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
Terry McLaurin.
Well,
is taking that.
I mean, the LSU, you got Jefferson, Chase, and Neighbors. And then for Ohio State, you got Harrison, McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, Olave. Who are we forgetting?
Somebody.
Guys.
Jackson Smith and Jigba. I feel like I'm forgetting an LSU guy. I mean,
we got rid of Terry McLaurin. We moved him to DB.
He's having a great year.
He has a great career.
I mean, the LSU / Ohio State's third team would be better than almost every other team.
I think we did that one time.
And then Jeremiah Smith may be the best out of all of them.
I drafted
better than Jefferson and Chase.
I don't know. We'll see.
I would. Why won't they why won't they just let them be like? If I was the Browns and they said, okay, like you don't get to pick, but you get to draft him. I want his rights. I want his rights now. Can I draft him now? Let me just get him.
Would you do that? Would you do that? Who's the best quarterback? Is it Arch Manning? No.
Arch and Nico, the kid from Tennessee.
Right? Iamaleava.
Yeah,
he used to say that.
Is he Hawaiian also?
He's
is he Greek?
I don't know what he is. Is he Samoan?
He's
Nico's
from
like a Greek
California.
name.
I think he's Japtalian.
Is he?
Like Japanese and Italian?
No, I just made that up.
Oh.
Pretty witty.
I'm looking it up right now. He is. Has also great pronunciation, by the way, Dustin.
Iamaleava.
It's his job to know the pronunciation.
So the spring game I couldn't pronounce it. Mike Cousins, my partner for that game, was on it. And it was like, Iamaleava.
He is of Polynesian descent.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you left.
And his little brother just committed to Oregon as a quarterback.
Dude.
Yeah.
He is a big man.
So
big guy.
Who's gonna be who you taking? Him or Arch Manning going forward?
Man, I don't know if Arch Manning's that good. It's just tough to bet against him.
You're tripping. He looks real good.
I mean, it's tough to bet against him. I mean,
how much have you guys seen of Arch Manning? I haven't seen him play.
He played a few games this year. I mean, high school, whatever. High school was playing against guys that aren't even playing.
Yeah, like this year he played a lot. I said this. I started him with Quinn Ewers. I liked him this year. I think he's better.
I think you need to watch a little more Quinn Ewers.
I've been watching
Quinn Ewers.
I've been watching Quinn Ewers, and I'm like, I don't like his arm strength. I don't like it.
Who's going to be Ohio State's quarterback next year?
I don't know. He's probably playing for Oregon right now.
Julian Sayin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
He was a top transfer last year.
What's his name?
Air Nolan and Julian.
Air Nolan. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yep.
All right.
He's supposed to be good.
He's supposed to be nice.
Final thing before we wrap up the show. Hope you enjoy.
We have one more thing. Jason.
Yeah.
Give us the offensive line story.
Just real quick, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So last week we were talking about the Hard Knocks episode with Roy Isvin, the assistant line coach.
Oh yeah, right.
With all the
I thought he sounded like a fool. But
so
anyway.
I was poking around on that. Yeah. Just like what's this guy's deal?
Yeah.
Is he always like that, or is he showing off for the cameras? What I was told is he's good for one of those a week. Once a week, he just loses his mind with like that.
Yeah.
That meeting was a Thursday morning blitz pickup meeting. It's like Thursday morning at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
when he's going on and
The players look like they were asleep.
And I talked to a couple linemen who are like, while it was happening, they're like, oh, this is going on Hard Knocks. Like, they knew in the moment, this is going to be part of the show.
Well,
but so all the quarterbacks are in that meeting because it's the blitz pickup meeting.
Gotcha.
So their quarterbacks are not in all of the lineman meeting, but they are in the blitz meet. It's like about a 45-minute meeting on Thursday mornings. So Jameis was in it. Dorian was in it. I assume probably Bailey would have been in it as well.
The great Bailey Zappi.
Dang.
So,
I don't. They be having film at 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
early?
Thursday mornings is the
talking about?
blitz pickup meeting.
Like-
all they do is sit in meetings. That's all they do.
Do you understand how hard it is to stay awake in that building
That's
on a Thursday or on a Wednesday?
so they
You're
got
in
you
meetings all day.
the whole day.
The whole day, dude. The whole day.
Do y'all go to
it's,
the
it's,
crib?
it's,
There's
it's
got to be
hurry
a
up and
better
meet.
way to do it.
All you do is meet.
There's got to be
There's
a better
no way to keep. I mean, like,
There's
I'm trying
no
to think
way
where I
people
was
can
at.
keep their focus that long through all those meetings. It's
Man,
more
we-
you tune it out.
My last year was 09,
Yeah.
and we were just on the precipice of the phones, like the
Yeah.
iPhones and stuff. The iPhone came out in 07, right?
Yeah.
So, like, imagine nowadays, like, you got to give these guys, like, phone breaks
I
to
wonder
go
if
out,
the
like,
great
just keep them focused.
I wonder if the great coaches, the Tomlins, the Reeds, the McVays, if they're doing it differently, not having as many meetings, because
I think they all do it the same. I think
it's
it's
just
meetings all
crazy
day.
to me. There's no way anybody can stay focused through meeting after meeting after meeting. It's just impossible.
It's almost impossible to stay awake.
Oh my
Think
God.
about this. You're
Yeah.
done. You're in the meeting rooms. Okay, they keep them at like 66 degrees.
Yeah.
It's pitch black, and
Right.
you got one coach with a monotone voice.
Oh, God.
Who I mean, and George Katavlos, God love you, man. A great coach when I was in Buffalo.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be selling, apps, like sleep apps, where they could put people to sleep in 5 minutes or less.
Oh my God.
And you just back there, and
You're fighting. You're like in a 12-round heavyweight fight, and you're just bobbing and
And
weaving.
you're someone who is battling for your job all the time.
And so
Like,
if they-
if you're a guy who's got your job locked up, you're probably just.
And
like,
I didn't dip, so that was out.
So
Yeah.
does that mean, like, do they fine you for going to sleep?
No, guys slept. I mean, starters, they'd be in there sleep the whole time.
Yeah. Damn. What a
Man.
terrible way to go out.
All right, we don't have time for the Juan Soto contract today. We'll leave that out.
We'll do it tomorrow.
All right.
$1 billion.
We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Peace.
Later.